We are live. Welcome to Lindsay's Fallout live stream every Saturday. My favorite part of my week is my galaxy light shining on my face, or am I losing it? You see a green dot on my face, let me know. I'm like, should it really be spread out that far? This is not interesting entertainment for all of you. Hi, I'm Lindsay. Uh, you might notice the Fallout chair is there and not under me because I actually shouldn't be sitting on that chair as much. It's not that healthy, I guess, for me. It doesn't like hurt me or anything, but I actually wrote a Substack article about this. This chair that I'm sitting on now is sort of uncomfortable on purpose, because it's easy to get in and easier to get in and out of, and it encourages me to move, wiggle, sort of an ADHD friendly neurodivergent kind of situation. But yeah, let's talk. So this week, the video that came out was I have forgotten to hit the record button. Oops, recording now. We did Fallout 76 Locations Part 2, and it was an absolute blast. I loved making it. I had I'm having a little bit of a stressful moment right now. There is a 6-episode project that I'm working on, and to be totally honest with you, I made some mistakes in the way I handled post-production, and so there's just a lot of work that has to be done all at once. And, but, like, at the end of this week's video, I put this thing that was like, might not make a video next week, but if we do, it'll probably be this again. Now I'm leaning more toward there will be a video next week. I will lean toward making that happen. Probably going to be Fallout 4 related this time around. And where to go next tangent wise? I'm like, do I want to go into the autism life advice thing yet? Because I was going to talk about like what lessons I learned from, letting this work stack up. I'll just zoom through this really fast. So if I'm your autistic elder, then maybe this will be helpful, or if you're late diagnosed, we have a tendency to not understand what we have a say in. It's like, we feel so separate from the world that we think that if a boss gives us directions or somebody tells us what to do, that we have to like contort ourselves around whoever the authority is. But sometimes you need to have a back and forth. Like maybe they're asking something of you because they don't understand what's going on your side of it, and they don't think to ask for the same reason. A lot of times we don't think to ask questions, right? Somebody sent me an article once about this concept of a shouting doormat or a screaming doormat, and basically the pattern is you take on more than you can handle, you take on, and then you snap. And the thing is, people outside of you, they don't see everything that you were taking on before you snapped. They just see the snapping, and then they think, oh, you're so delicate, this tiny thing. But it wasn't just that one tiny thing. It was an accumulation, And there was a situation like that going on with this project where I was like, oh, well, they're not telling me this, so obviously it's not a thing. And then it all, piled on me in the end. But I could have been more diligent throughout the process to be like, hey, I want to make sure we picture lock this before we move on to the next thing. But I think, and if I'm really honest with myself, I think that she's not telling me what to do, so I'm gonna do whatever I want. And that cost me in the end. And then so the temptation when all the stuff piled on at the end would be to blame the client. But when I stopped and thought about it, and I was like, no, you could have followed up. You know how you work. You like to bite things into smaller chunks, and you could have been like, hey, I need notes on this by Friday, and I didn't do that. And that's sort of related, I guess, to the the low view count on the video this week because I wanted also at the beginning of the stream I wanted to sort of have like a moment of affirmation reminding myself that the low views are okay because I'm not really after huge YouTube success right now. But man, you look at those numbers and you're like, wow, I screwed up, right? And maybe I did, but I've talked before about sort of how I'm, recovering from enmeshment trauma, abusive situation, a Quintus Maximus sort of situation. And I gotta tell you, the hardest part of recovering from that amount of mind fuckery is the decision fatigue. Because I've been trained against my own judgment my whole life. I have been told over and over and over again that I need to do what other people tell me to do, and that I'm incapable of making smart decisions, And that combined with another really common autistic kind of mistake that we can make is the hikikomori kind of shut-in agoraphobic sort of route where, we're so sensitive, and when we go out into the world and we do work for people or put ourselves out there, we get and we make a mistake, it is so painful that we just go, well, I guess I'm just unfit to talk to people, and then we just hide. The problem is when you do that, those skills, you atrophy, you don't develop, you don't grow up. You have to go out there and make these mistakes. And that's what sucks, is if you really sincerely don't want to hurt people, and you hold yourself to you hold yourself accountable for the impact that you have, even if you didn't intend it, which is a healthy thing to do. You're like, well, I, owe it to the world to not interact with it because then I'll break things. I'll be a bull in a china shop. But there's some things that you just don't develop, you just don't learn until you accidentally bump into people, Like, yeah, it sucks that I made this mistake and it affected my client, but, dating is another example of this. Any kind of social interaction, when you're interacting with other people, there's some things you can only learn by having those interactions with people. And sometimes you make a mistake and you hurt people, but you hold yourself accountable, you move forward, you try to make it right. So similarly with YouTube, I'm learning in public. The goal right now really isn't it really can't be to be successful, because I don't know what I want to be successful at yet. And this is something that comes up all the time, is how success can be a prison, Like actors all the time talk about fear of being typecast, Like if I do a really good job at this kind of role and then I keep taking roles that are like this, then Hollywood will only think of me for this kind of role over and over again. All of life is like that, If I got successful, and this has happened to me before, I got really successful on TikTok making content that made me miserable, but it's what the people wanted from me. And so I felt like I felt irresponsible to not keep doing the thing that got me all those numbers. And I talked about this a little bit last week about how the lack of success of this channel is giving me freedom to experiment. And right now, the big challenge is to just stay in the habit. And that's one of the reasons why I really want to make it work that I'll get a video out next week, because right now just building the habit of it's already nobody in my life expects anything of me Wednesday and Thursday. I mean, I hang out with my friend Wednesday morning, but basically the second half of Wednesday and Thursday, I am working on whatever I'm doing for this YouTube channel. And I have actually had the discipline now to tell clients who are going to give me money, can't talk to you till Friday, That's incredible, that I've managed to just hold this space for my thing. And so when the numbers are low, it's those little voices, those little Quintus voices are you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to make it, you're, all the people that told me that I shouldn't be doing the things that make me happy because I need to protect their fears. It's not even to make them happy. If I made these people happy, then I probably would have stayed in the arrangements. But no, I had to protect their fears. That's what these people wanted. I had to protect them from the things about themselves. You know, they're supposed to be able to hurt you and for you to say nothing. Because if you say, you hurt me, you make them feel shame, and they can't have that. You have to drive yourself crazy, torture yourself, and so that they don't have to feel afraid. Yeah. But yeah, so looking at all of it that way, no regrets about the 400 view video, because I loved every second. Like, I was in the middle of this work thing that I was talking about, but I got to work on this thing, and I got to make it what I wanted, and I think it's entertaining as hell, and maybe it'll just take some time to permeate. All right, now let's look at chat. Definitely not going to be on the whole time. Oh yeah, you're talking about how you're going swimming. Carble Snark, he's here. Hello. There's another great video. I'm still working on my comments for it. Oh yeah, Rob, speaking of which, that was something else that was kind of on my list, or something else I thought about that I wanted to talk about. I need to figure out the best way to facilitate people who want to say long things to me, because this is what keeps happening. Rob, you're a big example because you write really long comments. So I'll open up the comment and I'll see the long comment, and like when I'm in comment reading mode, that's like a certain depth of my ADHD focus. And when things are a certain length, especially if it's a block, you have better luck of me reading things if you break it into lines. Pro tip. And then I'll go, oh, I'll read it later. And then I never do. I have all these long comments that are probably full of really interesting stuff, but I just, like, now talking about it, I'm like, God, I should go back and scroll through. And, but it's not that I don't want to read long comments. It's that it's like the gear that my brain is in when I'm in looking at comments mode. So I'm not really sure, how I want to do that so people want to write something lengthy to me. And I feel like the kind of people that are moved to write something lengthy will be willing to click out and go somewhere else to send me like I don't know, like a forum email or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure how to facilitate this. But it has to be like, I'm looking at the long comments mode now. Like, I wish that YouTube had a filter for that. Anyone else doing some spring cleaning? It was such a nice day out. I actually took Peg for her afternoon walk earlier so that we could enjoy the sunshine. I will be life blew up on me. Yeah, isn't it funny how it does that? So I used to be a social butterfly extrovert. As I get older, people just wear me out so often. People are exhausting. That's why I talk to people in this controlled environment. James Baird, thank you for the $5. I like this week's video, jokes about ghouls dropping out of nowhere. Those, like, ghoul drop-ins happened, you know, obviously organic while I was recording the footage, and I just thought that was such a funny gag. So that while I was doing the voiceover, to be like, da-da-da-da, oh god, you know, especially after, like, the Silent Hill playthroughs that we've done and my, the potential of a future, oh god, hypercut, which I wonder if Premiere can facilitate doing that easier now that it's easier to edit by text now than it once was. A lot of what you're saying sounds very familiar. High five. Just thought of, I think is a wonderful title for your location videos. Lindsay's Fabulous Guide to the Wonderful World of Fallout. That's cute. Lindsay's Fabulous Guide. I feel like there's like I have an urge to turn fabulous into some sort of pun, but I'm not sure what. Fabulous is, feels not on brand, but I like where your head is at. Summarizing it, keeping proper context is hard for me. I don't mean to intimidate or trigger demand avoidance executive dysfunction, but also understand what you said because I do the same. This isn't really a demand avoidance thing. Like, this isn't an anxiety thing. This is a, attention span thing. It's not, I am a person usually set to maximum verbosities, but I realize there is one of you, and many of us, so if it gets missed, I will survive. I don't know, maybe I just need to build a better habit or routine. Like, there's some stuff like that, like stuff that I should be doing throughout life that always gets procrastinated until forever, and I could leave long comments on every video I see, so I restrain myself to only things I have to say. I think maybe nobody has seen before, but I'm not sure I succeed. Well, the fact that you're thinking about that, like, that is actually, I really do appreciate the effort to not just repeat what other people are saying, you know? Like, I don't mind seeing what everybody else is saying if it's, like, positive, but I hate when people think, oh, I'm a genius who's noticed this thing, and they didn't stop to look and 10 other geniuses noticed it. Not just corrections, like, I've talked about that before, and that is especially annoying, but there's there's other examples that aren't just corrections. Nucatastic. Yeah, something in that, something like that. Or I could sleep on that and then end up loving it. The feral cools thing was kind of funny because I liked it when I first heard it, and then I overthought it and didn't like it, and then I thought more about it and I liked it again. Like, I feel like this is really stresses me out with friends when they want to tell me something or show me something and they're expecting me to be really excited and I'm not excited at first. And then they get antsy and nervous and I'm like, I might not just need a second to gel on whatever it is that you're showing me, and then I'll think it's hilarious. But what I really don't like doing is playing hilarious, like playing that I'm amused when I'm not genuinely amused yet. Like, and that's actually been something since I was like really young. Like, I'll just tell people, like, you'll always know when I really like something because I won't lie to you. I won't. Yes, it is cute. But anyway, okay, what else is on my list? I already talked about how I'm trying to build better habits. There's some other stuff here related to the deprogramming. Oh man, it's I feel like the fear of success thing I just talked about pretty much covered that pretty well. $14 concurrent viewers. Why? I mean, it's nice. It's better than nothing. I'm just like, we used to always have like 30. See what the numbers do to your brain? And it's like, I'm not even afraid of low numbers. I'm afraid of like slipping momentum, you know? I'm just spitballing. I'm good at spitballing, and I know my ideas aren't all winners, and I promise not to get grumpy about the ones that don't stick. What will probably happen, what happens with everybody, is, like, I take pieces of everything that people say, but I love brainstorming. I really don't want to, that's one of my favorite things to do with you guys, is to brainstorm ideas for either videos or titles or things like that. That's one of the things I want to do with these streams the most. And as long as, you know, nobody gets an attitude of, you know, being hurt if I don't use the ideas, because what's always going to happen is a remix of people's ideas. Ooh, that's actually a good thing to talk about, is the Atlas Omnicorp sketches. So this is some behind the scenes of stuff going on right now that doesn't feel like a bad idea to talk about. Like, you know, when things are like in development, like I had this whole thing on my website about this book I was writing called Charlie's Retreat, and I was so serious about finishing it, and I really thought that if I, you know, put the thing on my Substack that I was working on it, that it would be kind of have like a body doubling effect. But the truth is, with creative fiction, the body doubling thing, it has the backfire effect. Then it becomes pressure, then it becomes work, and it's not free-flowing creativity anymore. So I'm gonna keep my fiction ideas to myself. I mean, except for one of the reasons I told you guys everything about my New Vegas fan fiction is because now I'm just so sure it's not going to happen that I'm not worried about it getting in the way. But I have like original fiction ideas that I'm going to keep private until like all of a sudden, if it ever gets done from you guys' perspective, it'll just be suddenly done. You'll probably know about it when I'm ready to hire an artist, because I'll probably need y'all's help to find an artist, because this I'm picturing that this will be something. What I really want it to be is like a visual novel, you know. Um, but a visual novel that like you don't make choices, like not like an RPG kind of visual novel. But I like that format of the pictures and the text underneath. And I think it has to do with being a filmmaker. Like I guess technically it would function like a comic book because there'd be picture and text underneath, but it would look like a visual novel where it would have like this character said this character said that, or like an RPG, the text at the bottom, but there would be like a still above it and you would hit like slides. And I think it's because in my heart, I'm a filmmaker. Like if I was to live my dreams, it would be probably a one season television series. But because I don't have those resources, because I tried, because as we covered, I went to film school and I tried to do it the right way, and I actually wouldn't want to do this as an AI film. I think my brain would melt trying to make all the shots match. Like, even with the best AI in the world, I don't think. But I would want to use it for previs. So whoever works with me art-wise is going to have to cope with that emotionally, because it's just going to be the easiest way to communicate certain things. But anyway, my heart is in film, and the thing about, you know, this visual novel idea as opposed to like a comic is comics have like pages and panels, and there's like an energy to the arrangement of the story panels, and I don't want to fuck with that. I want the audience to be looking at one picture, one scene, and to be focused on that one scene when they're reading the stuff at the bottom. You know, that's just how I think the story, and I've never heard of anybody else doing this, but this is that ADHD autistic brain. Like a visual novel that doesn't have options is what I am envisioning. Man, the text is really small in that window, isn't it? Let me fix that, the chat window. Do I have the power to fix that? I don't really know. Okay, what if I cut it in half and scale it? Enjoy this technical weirdness. And then 250, 262. Okay, that's too much. Thank you all for being good sports. This is going well, isn't it? I hope it is. Okay. Yeah, I think Atlas saw you talking about The Road and said it was good. I can't imagine how I could or would ever read a novel ever again. I just a fictional novel anyway. Oop. I think it was inevitable for the number, but at first they got higher though. The numbers got higher and then they dropped. I totally understand about fiction writing. I love writing and have written a fair amount of stuff, but yeah, I'm not letting anyone read it. It's the writing I enjoy. That reminds me, I finished reading The Road, the book I told you about last time. If you do read it, I hope you like bittersweet endings. If it ever becomes a TV show or a movie. Possibly audiobooks. I haven't listened to audiobooks in a long time, but I could see myself doing that again. I hate when I do that too. As soon as I say some creative idea out loud to someone, it makes it near impossible to do, maybe because of added perceived pressure. It's like it immediately becomes not entirely yours anymore. There's already too many people that know about the fiction projects that I have in my head. There are a few. The Road was so good. I like them. There's a book and there is a movie. Visual novel or graphic novel. The Road is a great novel, but so grim. As the chat zooms in and out, I'm thinking, ooh, yeah. It was too small. I haven't read a novel in so long. My friend actually recently published a short novel, Not Meant to Wake, by Tyler Bacon, aka the Squirrel Father content. Oh, cool. Yeah, so many creators have done so many cool things. Like expanding just beyond, and I hope that I do as well. But that's a part of this journey that I'm on. I'm just trying to like build the habit of um developing this channel. There is the green light on me. I do need to move that. That's gonna bother me. I have to adjust my light. Hold on. Just turn it off. You can barely see it anyway. I'm actually not like wild about this setup. My last apartment, I had such a beautiful like shot framing setup, but I could not afford that place. And I didn't like living by myself in an apartment. And now I live in my friend's basement and I'm much happier here. But obviously I'm so tapped out with just like making the content and work and doing life and taking care of my dog and all of that that haven't had the time to really make it. And it's crazy. It's crazy that I'm doing this good a job sticking to this streaming schedule every week when there have been times where I went full ADHD and like totally did the staging and the lighting and it all looked beautiful and then I never actually streamed. And now that I'm actually doing it, I'm like, okay, Lindsay, you could like actually make it look to your standards. I mean, you guys saw everything I'm saying about locations and composition and all of that. This is not. And you know what really is crazy is that corner is actually much more decorated and you can't even see it. Because I used to have a setup with this microphone the way it was where like a standing setup for, that I was doing for vlogs and shorts, which you can see a few of those before I quit doing it on my Lindsay Makes Videos channel, the personal development neurodivergence channel, which I guess I'm sort of ignoring now. But like I do want to make it look nicer. I really do. I'm not upset that you forgot to read or respond to my ramblings. I don't expect anything of you. Sometimes but I expect things of myself. And I'm also grateful to people who want to share a bunch of stuff with me. That's cool. You know, I tend to get into my head and feel really lonely and stuff, and it's really ridiculous that I should feel lonely when people are writing me books in comments. I gotta do some adult stuff too, but I've been playing Fallout all day, and PDA is kicking my ass. Yeah, that was another thing I was talking about earlier, holding myself accountable for why I had this work kind of stacked on top of me. Because, yeah, it totally triggered my PDA. It made me feel so imprisoned. Oh, man. I gotta make better decisions in the future. Creatives are always their own worst enemy. It's so funny. I was talking to a client today, speaking of own worst enemy. And, something I was talking to this client about, and I've actually talked to Atlas as a client about this as well, is I'm really bad at half-assing things. I basically, so sometimes there's a project that I'm asked to work on where they're just really not asking for much. They don't need, fancy graphics. They don't need, crazy sound and all this stuff. They just need me to, like, fix this broken thing. Like, this time it was, like, some audio that was out of sync in some clips, And the thing is, when it's important to respect that when they only want you to do this thing because you don't want to rack up a bunch of hours that they don't want to pay for. So, what I tell, clients now is if I'm half-assing something or if it's like a really small, don't have to give it all my autistic attention thing, then I'm actually more likely to make mistakes. It's almost like I have to go full ass and just really untangle all the knots throughout the whole project. Or if I'm only asked to do like this one thing, then I might make mistakes because it's hard for me to sort of have finesse and to be like, okay, pay attention, but not too much attention, you know? Like, I want to pay attention to all of it, or it's hard for me to, it's very, very autistic. And so what I was telling them is you need to, you know, if all you need is a pea shooter, you don't pick me up. I'm a bazooka. You don't want to shoot a fly with a bazooka, you know? So if it's a pea shoot job, either do it yourself or hire somebody less expensive. You know, if you want it taken to the maximum of quality, then, you know, because otherwise it's just going to irritate me. Like, an example of this was this particular client. I don't do captions. Like, I half-assed the captions on my own YouTube channel because that is so boring and tedious to me. I was like, you don't want to pay my hourly rate to do your captions. You know, it's you know, don't shoot a fly with a bazooka. And then, like, as we were talking, that sort of made me do, like, a, you know, ADHD tangent and be like, why is there no bazooka in Fallout? Like, you'd think that a bazooka would be, like, the name, because it has that kind of campy 50s name. Like, you'd think there'd be a missile launcher or something called a bazooka. Well, isn't that what kind of a gun a bazooka is? I'm like, that really feels like it should be, it's not like such a Fallout-y word. And then, my client, who knows nothing about Fallout, responded to that, like, yeah, come on, Fallout, get on it. To which I wrote back, you're starting to sound like a real Fallout fan, because nobody hates Fallout more than a Fallout fan. Nobody complains about Fallout more than a Fallout fan. Tyler Spaz, Squirrel Dad, became an ADHD coach. Squirrel Dad! Oh my god, I know who that is! Yeah, I know who Squirrel Dad is. After he found out he had MS. Oh, he has MS. I didn't know that. He was a DJ and graphic designer before. Yeah, I gotta do some adult stuff too, but playing Fallout. Okay. It can be like that saying, if you wait to start something until it's perfect, it never gets done. Yeah, done is better than perfect. It can be like that saying. Okay, creatives are always their own worst enemy. Oh, yeah. I'll create something, yeah. I need to eat more often, but if I'm feeding someone else, I'll make food. Yeah. Maybe practice by writing a lot of small anthologies, a lot of bigger stories from usually. I've tried to do shorter stories so many times. One of the ideas that I have, it almost has like kind of a TV pilot concept. I was inspired by Silo, which if you're interested in a lot of the topics discussed in Fallout, you'd probably be interested in Silo. And the Silo TV show is based on the Silo series of books. The first one was called Wool. And the way that it was a short story that became a full novel, that became a series, that became a TV show. And so the novel, the pilot, the first episode of the TV show is based on that first short story. So when you watch the TV show, you'll notice the first episode sort of has this self-contained vibe. And then it's like the second episode is when they start, you know, with the character that you really focus on through most of the series. So one of my stories, I'm doing kind of a similar, or trying to do a similar concept where there's like an opening hook story that sort of sets up the big story. And what I thought maybe I could do was take that short story and maybe shop it around and then use that to kick off whatever resources to like finish the full thing. But man, it's hard to decide. With Wool and Silo, it was really clear like what that first story was and how it could be expanded. But trying to decide what chunk basically has that building, you know, establishing the world and then has that good cliffhanger ending that feels like that story is done, but also introduces intrigue about what's going to happen next and what the bigger scale issue is. About this week's video, I loved when you did the behold meme when presenting Beckett to everybody. Yeah. That was a kind of a funny last minute idea. My hetero life mate Beckett. I don't know who got that reference, that Jay and Silent Bob reference. I love using the word hetero like that. Like, something that Atlas says to me all the time. I love you, no hetero. And, well, I mean, it was a fun video to watch, but my selfish self was like, ooh, I know this one. Silo, the show, is pretty darn good after 2 seasons. Oh man, I just rewatched it again with a friend of mine, and I'm like, I can't wait to see. The second season did feel slower than the first season, but I'm still dying to know what's next. They've got me. Yeah, he's cool. I'm not a fan of his Discord server, as I felt so misunderstood, even though, oh my god, okay, so this is my opinion, but I think that same can kind of be said for the queer community, but definitely in the neurodivergence community and trauma healing communities are the worst place to actually find community. I have had so much better luck having community with other neurodivergent people talking about Fallout and hanging out in Fallout communities. Because the problem is, when you're in, it's exactly kind of like what you said. Felt so misunderstood even though it was an ADHD mental health server. Everyone there, even you to an extent, even me to an extent, is there because they want themselves seen and accepted. You know, that's what we're hoping for when we go to, but every individual there wants their needs and their nervous systems and their situation respected in a community where those needs are going to conflict, you know? Like if I'm in a Fallout community and I have a nervous system, neurodivergent trauma response need that can't be met by that community at that moment and at that time, I can go, well, this community doesn't owe me that. These people are different from me. I can take a step back, breathe, run, cuddle my dog. I don't feel entitled to the same amount of cushion. But when I in an ADHD or a trauma healing thing, what ends up happening is when you try to like humble yourself, it just starts to look like everybody else's neurodivergent needs are being cared for and taken care of and stopped and listened to, except for yours. And then it makes you kind of resent it because it's like, I don't resent a Fallout community for not being 100% neurodivergent cushioned because it never promised to be that, you know? I mean, there's an extent to which all communities should be conscious of being inclusive and stuff, but when somebody markets themselves, if a community presents itself as, this is a safe space, then you're gonna have higher expectations. But if everybody has those same expectations and they conflict, and also a lot of traumatized neurodivergent people are intensely conflict avoidant. So nobody knows how to like assert their boundaries in a calm way. They know how to scream and yell or run away. And then you have a whole community of people screaming and yelling or running away. You know? And it's I have found that when it comes to neurodivergence, trauma healing, and queerness, I make better friends in those communities, in communities that don't focus on these things. That's one of the things that sucks about dating, because, you know, going to like a queer dating event, which obviously you would want to do to meet other queer people that are on the menu, if you know what I mean. But then like the only thing you have in common with all of these people is queer trauma. There's no similar interest. You know, there's no similar, and that's what Fallout does for me, is it gives us an anchor point of similarity beyond our trauma and misery and defensiveness. ADHD Druid server is much easier going, but it's much smaller. And that's another thing is you're probably going to have a better chance at finding community in smaller communities, you know, because then they're less unruly. In fact, there's something kind of suspicious about some of these communities if they're too big, because it's like, if you drew a big crowd, you know, I feel like this is a theme I talked about a lot when we were talking about the Fallout TV show episodes, is somebody has a lot of power, how did they get it? If a community has, or a government or a body of humans has enough people and organization that it can enforce law, that it can punish badness and reward goodness, how did it get that power? Apparently my mom has read the Silo books, and one of my kids says, What Remains of Edith Finch is one of my favorite games of all time. I can't believe you just mentioned that. It's part of their core identity. I am obsessed with what did I talk about that in another stream, or did you? Yeah, I am obsessed with that game. Another game that I kind of from a similar era that I hold in similar regard is actually Night in the Woods, which I used a clip of in this week's Fallout video when I was talking about Parallax. Night in the Woods, I played around the same time as Edith Finch, so I associate those two games. I used to be a lot more into indie games, but I have trouble learning new games, and when you have a bunch of little games, you have to learn all their systems, and I hope that changes. I hope that indie games come back into my life, because I think it's the most forward-thinking art form on the planet. Yeah, I didn't realize I had ADHD when I was in that server, and everyone thought I was had borderline and thought I was just not recognizing people's boundaries, and people took that way too personally. Yikes! I have not gotten any vibe from you of boundary pushing. I'm sorry. I haven't gotten boundary pushing vibes from anybody any feral cools that come to the chat. Not even once, which is pretty incredible. Which is pretty impressive. I've actually like thought, like, how am I gonna handle it if people start getting weird? I think there was like one time that there was like an argument in the chat, and that was it. That I know of, but maybe I'm not paying that close attention. Like, I always feel like, sometimes I feel like I'm watching chat too carefully, and then I end up getting behind because I'm like scrolling further up. But when I was I'll tell you why in a second, but I was looking at footage from previous streams looking for a clip, and I noticed all this stuff in chat that I didn't notice at the time, and I was like, how did I miss that? So I guess that's one of those skills that I have to increase. But what I said I was going to circle back to is I was pulling the clip where we were talking about the Yes Man thumbnail idea, and basically putting that clip aside, and I've already made the Yes Man thumb. I still don't know what video I'm going to put underneath it. I feel like when I know, I'll know. Kind of playing with the idea of it being the culture war never changes. Because when I'm contextualizing, like, why, which is why I pulled the clip, contextualizing why I did this goofy thing of making a thumb that says Yes Man, and the title being this video has nothing to do with Yes Man, and then clicking on it, and it indeed is a video that has nothing to do with Yes Man. There's a commentary in there that I like about, is it clickbait when it's technically not dishonest? If I showed you the thumbnail, but I told you the video had nothing to do with Yes Man, and you click on it, and the video indeed has nothing to do with Yes Man, is that technically clickbait? Because normally that term refers to, like, a misdirection. I indeed gave you a video that had nothing to do with Yes Man. I think that's what tickles me so much about the idea. So, looking at it that way, it might be a good overlay for Culture War Never Changes, because that video is gonna be one of those ones where I kind of want to make sure people vibe with me before they watch that, because I don't want to, get a bunch of numbers and then get a bunch of trolls. It's gonna piss people off when I finally do that. And I just kind of want to keep it in the club. And there's something sort of amusing about putting this deterrence. Like, if people click on it and they're like, this has nothing to do with Yes Man, and they're irritated, probably a good way to get rid of them. But there's going to be some people that are going to be really curious, like, where's she going with this? And those are the people that I think can handle what I would have to say in that video. So we will see. I don't know when I'm going to be ready to start talking about social justice-y stuff. It's not social justice-y, but it is a breakdown analysis take on toxic fan behavior, and that's gonna get responses from toxic fans. We were not arguing, we were movie quoting to each other. Based! What? Okay, it's positive, right? The word based. Is it like badass? Is that what based means? And I've only ever heard it used for a person. I haven't heard it used like a movie was based. So maybe it's not quite the same connotation as badass. I know I've grown a lot more since I got kicked out of it, recognizing I'm most likely misdiagnosed and have ADHD. I understand myself so much more now. Yeah, it helps, right? God, it helps so much. I don't think that's clickbait. That's mastery of curiosity. Who had the said the thing about instant dopamine when they see Yes Man, like a dopamine surge? Is whoever said that here? Because who knows what you have started? Yeah, I might be all but decided that that's gonna be the Yes Man thumb video. It's got this great you mad bro sort of quality to it. Based as a positive response used by the youths. I actually saw a video. It wasn't quite like a synthetic man, nightmare, the worst of our fandom sort of video, but it was a guy who has the TV show is ruining everything that made Fallout good sort of, you know, spikiness. He seemed very like this is definitely the kind of guy that would call me cringe in the comments. Maybe he has. And he said something about the show being full of millennial cringe humor, but he didn't give an example. So I put in the comments, I'm like, what is this millennial cringe humor or examples from the TV show that like Gen Z looks at and goes, this is millennial cringe. I'm getting a vibe. I don't know much about the kids these days, but I'm getting a vibe that there's a big value shift where there's things that they think are cringe or embarrassing, that I think it's sad that they think that. Like, and this kind of goes back to the Maximus stuff, right? How, people are, it's so embarrassing when you're cringe or when you make a mistake or when you look foolish and that sort of, and, lack of valuing of what I would call higher values like bravery and basically morals, ethics. And so I'm just kind of wondering if this like millennial cringe thing that I would look at and go, I feel sorry for you that you find this cringe. Like, it just strikes me as very immature and superficial, the things that they find cringe. Amanda Show and all that. Dude, Ask Ashley was hilarious. That was one of my favorite sketches when I was a kid. Mischievous Lindsay being tickled pink and giggling about the yes man is adorkable. Ha ha ha. The one I don't get is what 6'7" means. Isn't that like a military thing? What does 6'7" mean? Internet slang, primarily among Gen Alpha and younger teenagers on TikTok, is character brain rock. It has no fixed general meaning. Oh, it's just nonsense. Oh man, why would they do that? I don't understand what it means. Yeah, I thought it was like something that people say to like confirm, like period or something. There's no real meaning to it. Why would they do that? Why would they make up something that doesn't mean anything? I thought it was like a radio thing, like when you say like you're confirming something, or like a military or radio thing. Some people use it at perfect times. I need to hear it said. I will find a meaning for it. My pattern recognizing brain. Or that show me because it gave people more ways to tease bully me. Remember people looking at me and saying, you just lost the game. You just lost the game does mean something. You just lost the game absolutely means something. And I think that is autistic people that started that. I really do. Possibly ADHDers, but it's... you just lost the game is... like, when you're living life and participating in the Matrix and you're not thinking about the fact that you're playing the game. Like, when you're... Like, the game is not thinking about playing the game. It's actually very spiritual. It's very meditative. So, like, okay, so in these streams a lot, I'm always zooming out with this meta awareness, and I'm talking about the meta awareness of Lindsay making this YouTube channel, this sort of behind the scenes where my brain is at, the things I'm going through and the things that are motivating me to handle things, you know. So I'm losing the game when I do that, okay? But when I'm just making a video and uploading a video and promoting the video and like doing YouTubing, like actually creating content, then I'm winning the game because I'm just living my life and I'm not thinking about living my life. So I was talking about earlier how one of the hardest things about identity disturbance and enmeshment trauma is the decision fatigue, right? I spend so much brain energy losing the game and not because basically in order to play the game, you have to decide what game you're playing. You know, you have to, this is also kind of relates to struggles that I have with my neurodivergence and playing video games and how I'm not able to focus on video games the way a lot of other people are. And I'm not good at them because I have this hyper vigilant side. I'm always a little bit losing the game. And I need to, but honestly, living a happy life, you're supposed to be able to disappear into it. Like, I think a big problem with our culture right now, especially in gaming fandom, is you have a lot of people who are able to disappear into video games because they have a say and they have agency in video games that they don't have in real life. Like, the American dream is a farce. A lot of us can't just go out into the world and, you know, pick jobs to do and make money. Like, most of the work that needs to get done doesn't pay you because we live in a vault, you know, and the game was rigged from the start. So there's this what the human brain, the human soul wants to do is to play, you know. I think I talked about this in one of the Fallout TV show videos about how, you know, life is supposed to be an adventure, you know. We're supposed to have challenges and failures and, you know, the idea of us all being like plugged into a matrix with, you know, happy drugs getting pumped in and not actually taking risks and learning and growing. There's something in our souls that rejects that. And so we go into video games so that we can have that in a way that we can't take those kind of risks in real life because the consequences are too dire. You know, worst case scenario, we become such an unruly population that they nuke us. Remember, you are only alive because someone has decided to let you live. It's a fact. Or we could be, like, you know, make a bad financial decision that, like, traumatizes our kids for life or, you know, hurts our parents and our family. Like, we're so tied to other people and it keeps us all, it's the panopticon, you know, keeps us all behaving because, and so instead of taking risks, we play video games, you know? And so I think there's something kind of deep about you just lost the game because if you're like, I heard that the most when I worked at Anime Expo for 10 years. I didn't even really like anime that much, but I loved autistic people and I didn't know we were all autistic yet. Fallout fan conventions is my new spot for this feeling, but you know, we were like in the moment having this adventure, meeting people like, you know, meeting people who worked on art that we loved, hanging out in the dealer's room, the exhibit hall, and then we weren't thinking about life. We were just living it. And then somebody would walk by and go, "You just lost the game." And it's like, that's why we all laugh because it's like, it breaks you out of being in the moment and makes you think about thinking and makes you like think about, and I love "You just lost the game." Maybe that's cringe millennial humor. It's from a rap song by Skrilla, 6'7". The radio thing you've thinking of might be 10-4. Yeah, I guess so. But nothing like 6'7" out there I've heard. So those guys who'd say that to me had incredible sense of humor because when they'd say it, I was literally playing a game and then would spend time trying to figure out what I did wrong. No! Oh my god, no, that's not what this is, you know. The idea, the game is forgetting that you're playing the game. And so if somebody reminds you that you're playing the game, you've lost the game. Some say it means so-so. especially since kids often pair the phrase with an up and down hand motion, like 6-7. Others argue it for. This is giving me a headache. I need to like see this in context. The dark irony of 6-7 supposedly meaning nothing but being annoying is in Police Code 1067 could mean requesting assistance for a reported death. Really? And make sure you say 6-7 every time you notice that with any sense you have every time the number 6 is followed by a 7. Ponderous. You are correct and concise. I got that from Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Yeah, dictionaries. Through sheer obliviousness on my part, I have won the game on several occasions. But we're talking about the game right now, which means we've lost. You know what? Honestly, the idea of you just lost the game is really, you could really associate that with meditation. So, like, anybody out there who doesn't meditate, you should. Pro tip for anybody who's like, oh, I should meditate, but I won't. This is a perfect opportunity to practice, is when you're microwaving food. If you're putting food in the microwave for like 2-3 minutes and just stand there and meditate while you're waiting for the food to cook. This is such a perfect time to do it, because if you leave it there, then maybe it'll beep and you'll forget and it'll get cold. And so you're better off waiting, but you don't want to wait because 3 minutes is an eternity. That is the perfect opportunity to just stop and breathe. And the mistake that people who are trying to learn to meditate always make is they start to try and then they lose it. They lose the game, you know, and then they shame themselves and go, I can't meditate. But meditating is losing the game over and over again. That's, and then you just get back on the horse every time it throws you. And once you get rid of the shame that you let the horse throw you and you just get back on without just up, and you just recognize that losing the game, that getting thrown from the horse is a part of it, then it gets easier. I trust dictionaries a bit more than Wikipedia. Anyone can put anything on the wiki. I just always walk away and forget. Do dishes while waiting for a microwave. Washing dishes is like... I wish I could do that, actually, but my microwave is too far away from my where I do dishes in my house. In my basement. The microwave is upstairs. The microwave and the refrigerator are in the house proper. But I do my dishes in my... There's 3 rooms in my basement space. One of them is my bedroom office. That's where we are right now. The other one is a den, like a TV watching den, living room type area. And then the third one is my bathroom, kitchen, laundry room. Very Tokyo apartment in there. I think about that all the time. I'm like, maybe I should move some of this kitchen-y stuff into the den area, because this is... But no, this is just how I live my life. And I just really like having a den living room. Like, that's worth it to me. And I do have some kitchen stuff in the den. Like, I have my coffee maker in the den. You can actually see everything I'm talking about, and if you look at my shorts on this channel, there is a video of my dog barking at Fallout New Vegas, and you can see my den area in there. Oh no, a horse threw you? No, I like horses, but they've never really been a big part of my life. There's somebody earlier who said he was going to a swim meet. That's my favorite, like, thing to do outside is swimming, but swimming has not been a part of my life in a long time. I was actually taking swimming lessons before I left Texas. Like, I can stay alive in water, but I can't move quickly in water. And I still think that I, like, have a lot of bad habits, swimming habits. And I'm embarrassed to swim in front of other people because I don't... That's why I was taking swimming lessons, is because I didn't think I was doing form properly. But oh well, I'm probably never going to be able to do that again. I missed that. When I was in Texas, there was a natatorium, so it had like an indoor and an outdoor pool, and it had a gym in it, and it was like it was a city-state thing, so living, having an ID with an address in the city gave you like a deal on your membership. It was really cheap. I've never played the full game of Fallout 3. Neither have I. I need to go back. I started a lot of video games. I did the ADHD thing. And I need to focus on finishing them. All right, that reminds me of what I was wanted to talk about next week, but I should take a break in a second. But I want to talk about what's coming next content-wise. I will be back. See you in a couple minutes. And I'm back. I swear, when I have like a better stream set up and have like it actually framed, I wonder if I can set it up in a way where I'm standing up and sitting down over and over again. Like, I've never seen anybody do that, but maybe that is what I'm gonna need to do. Because, man, that ADHD wanting me to get up over and over again. Okay, let's catch up on chat. Funky Death Club reminding you to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Oh, my thing is behind. Sorry, my feed. I listen to Fallout Radio all the time, and that song always has me singing out loud in the car. Oh, Dear Hearts and Gentle People. Yeah, that's a good one. And it kind of related to a background video idea that's been sort of percolating, processing in the background. I think I talked about it before. The surface is the experiment. The idea that there's stuff going on in the vault that is real. More real than what's happening on the surface. There's something there. My son is swimming, I'm officiating, but feels wobbly from the cold medicine and timey-wimey time change. I mean, love that channel. They're D&D. The D&D of Viva La Dirt League. Good night, Doc. Sorry, I guess I missed you. I really need those safety nets. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm very clumsy with my hands. As am I. Well, I'm sure we all believe in you, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. I mainly start playing it because I like the story and I want to know how it ended. My thumbs don't seem to work like they used to with the controller sticks. I've got spurs that... Lebron's Truth says, bruh. Bruh indeed. Bruh. Yeah, that's managed to stand the test of time. Are the kids saying bruh? Along with Based and 6-7? Season 3 can't come fast enough to give us more context for that cliffhanger. Okay, I want to talk about fun, future, creative stuff. What is next for the Lindsays? Oh no! The web browser showing me the stream just barfed. I hope my stream is still going. No interruptions in stream, right? Just now? Okay. That draws me in was the one video post about them discussing how every sword and gravestone you see on the path you're playing. Which game are you talking about? No barfing. Oh, it's such an ugly word, isn't it? I shouldn't say that. That's something for like the neurodivergent kind of Discord communities, like, because everybody's got their sensory sensitivities and they're like, I came to this community so that all of my neurodivergent needs would be respected, so everybody has conflicting triggers and feels completely entitled to be at a safe space for everybody. Vomit. But something else, speaking of this topic, on the Fallout show, when Lucy took the Addictol and threw up the projectile vomit, I thought that was so funny. I thought that was hilarious, and yet I was totally thinking about so many neurodivergent sensitivity people that would have an issue with that. I took on my break time to make another decaf coffee for myself. I drink a lot of decaf coffee, and sometimes that trips people out because they're like, what's the point of drinking coffee without caffeine? I'm like, that's like saying, what's the point of having sex with no orgasm? Like, are you not enjoying the rest of the experience? I'm sounding woke. What? How did that happen? This is like the least woke I've been in for a while. I pulled out a Monster, never liked the taste. I hate, energy drinks. So, they never actually gave me energy, but everyone kept telling me that they should. But I was autistic and burned out and had the kind of exhaustion that... So they just made me really, like, shaky and nauseous, but I didn't know what else to do because I didn't know. Yeah, somebody said, LeBron's Truth said, you soundin' woke, cuh. They don't give me energy either, but I like the taste of the strawberry. Oh man, but all the other weird stuff that they do to my body. That's another reason why I drink decaf is because the I have a lot of like negative reactions to caffeine and not that much of the positives. Even when I have coffee with caffeine, it's half calf. Yeah, I don't know what this person is saying. All right, I wanted to talk about the. I'm starting to see bad vibes. Goodbye. So, woke can be an insult. Woke can be an insult. I mean, basically, here's the thing that I'm noticing that's happening a lot with the word woke is okay. So first, it was like a really funny like comic where like I guess there was like a it was like a you could probably look it up on Know Your Meme where there was like a parent and a kid, and then somebody was like, well, you see if the baby's asleep, and then the dad goes to see if the baby's asleep, and the baby says like smash the patriarchy or something like that, and then the dad goes, oh, she's not asleep, she's woke as fuck, you know. That was the first time I ever saw woke, was that comic, and it was hilarious. And then I guess it's strongly associated with like black vernacular English, you know, and as far as being like aware of the matrix, aware of everything's like fucked up about the system that we live in, the social system that we live in. And then it sort of went out of favor with the people who were using it that way, but it got picked up by like the right wing, alt right, the anti woke crowd. And then now pretty much the word is only used by people who hate woke, criticizing woke. And now nobody who is quote unquote woke uses the word unless it's almost like I use the word a lot referencing anti-woke, you know. And then like I'll have somebody in the comments being like, if you don't want to be called woke or whatever, then why do you keep using the word? I'm like, I'm using the word because you're using the word. Like, I am only ever using it referencing the people who are making fun of it or insulting it or have an issue with it, you know? And it becomes like this feedback loop where like people have different like opinions about when you should address an issue or when addressing that issue just brings attention to it and keeps it alive, you know? And there's like it's a nuanced thing. The answer's in the middle. Like there's times where you should just ignore it, and then there's times where you shouldn't. And usually for me, if I decide I shouldn't ignore it and I want to talk about something, it's because I have something of note to say. Like I never just complain. I never like just like I have to have some sort of constructive idea about it or a spin on it or an angle on it that it seems like people aren't seeing. But I don't, even when it seems otherwise, I don't just talk to hear myself talk. I thought woke meant rational thinking and empathy and humanism pretty much. It does. It does. And but usually when the word is being used, it's by people who are twisting that to be a negative thing because woke people make them think about perspectives that they don't have capacity for, and that makes them feel shame, so they have to attack somebody. Soda and milk, that sounds like a very Japanese thing to do. Soda and milk together. Milk soda sounds like something you'd find at an Asian grocery store. I'm woke. Yeah, I get that. I call myself woke to annoy the fascists. Yeah, the fascists. Um, who somehow think that we're the ones in the hive mind when we're infighting with each other. I don't want to go too much. I'm trying to pace my wokeness. Well, I can't reclaim woke because of the black vernacular English component. But if any of you are, uh, if any of you have that kind of word in your natural vocabulary, then, but I mean, I say awake a lot. Like, just, like, are you, spiritually awake? Actually, that's something that was kind of on. Oh no, I wanted to talk about creative stuff in the future first. Okay, so let me get this thought out because we're on the topic. So earlier I was talking about how I have to like get certain habits, certain hobbies, or set certain like routines together before I can hope to basically until my certain things about my habits and making life work for me are sort of sorted out. I'm not going to worry about strategy as far as getting more numbers yet because I want to make sure that I'm not getting numbers doing something that I can't maintain. So I'm in this period of self-discovery of figuring out what I can maintain. And then once I'm like, okay, this is a brand that I can maintain, then I will start putting forth effort to strategize more with titles and thumbnails and algorithm manipulation and, enlisting y'all's help to get more numbers. But right now, I'm just figuring out how to express stuff that comes naturally to me regularly every week, on brand of Lindsay's Fallout, So, but as a result of that being my primary objective right now, I am aware that there is a vibe that is coming off of this channel that it is for me and not for the audience. I mean, it's called Lindsay's Fallout, and that's sort of a defense mechanism to sort of, reserve the right to do that. The terms of service at the beginning of the video is a huge example of this. And in that term, I think not this week's video, but last week I said something like, it helps me obey my own boundaries. That's probably the best I've ever worded it so far. And ideally, if I were more together, more healed, didn't have so much identity disturbance stuff going on, I would not need help honoring my own boundaries like that. I wouldn't have to make an agreement. I would just do what I wanted with the comments and have an agreement with myself, And, but, and this is where I wanted to kind of go into the spiritual kind of perspective on this, because there just isn't language in science-y that explains this as well as certain spiritual concepts. Remember that people were writing stuff talking about trauma healing and neurodivergence way before they knew any of these concepts. People had whole frameworks around meditation long before they understood the human nervous system. And now we look at human nervous system stuff and go, oh, that's why the meditation stuff worked. But they used spiritual language, fluffy, new agey language, traditional ideas, long before there was a scientific backing. So I think so what I'm about to talk about is, I believe, like that, where this is real stuff. We just don't have frameworks for it in science land. And that is this concept of a vibrational match. So this is why if you have been abused and you're used to being abused, you end up in more abusive relationships until you learn how to break that pattern, and then you vibe up. So I've talked about and kind of struggled with, shittier comments, and basically you could say that those are low vibe people, So many assholes on the internet use these terms in a shitty way, and but just go with me on this, right? So I've talked about fear and love love is a state of openness. Love is an open door. Love lets things in, but it also is inevitably vulnerable. So that's high vibe. So somebody who's just like really happy and trusting, but then they let horrible people into their lives because their hearts are so open. You know, that's the trade-off. And then low vibe is the defensive, pushing things away. And this kind of goes back to what I was kind of worried. I'm like, is this the difference between me and people who find millennial cringe humor? Like, is this the difference between me and this younger generation that seems to be doing things like looks maxing? That is so low vibe. Your image to other people is so defensive. You know, it's so just something that I kind of want to outgrow and not, I don't want people with those values to dictate my livelihood because I don't want to sink into that. Pardon. But I'm not super high vibe. Have a lot of defensive energy. I'm healing from trauma. I'm figuring a lot of stuff out, and I want to find and figure out. I need to be able to bounce my content and my thoughts off of people and get feedback and, learn live, learning in public, making mistakes in public, in order to form this channel into the thing that's going to be more in service. Right now, Lindsay's Fallout is for me because I'm figuring me stuff out. And once I'm at a place where I know what this channel is and I know what I can commit to, there will be a vibrational sort of transition into how do I make this audience happy? How do I draw more people to the content? How can it'll be a product, right? But I'm still figuring out what I want under the product. And that's why I, will have the terms of service and spend all this time in the live streams, talking about my behind the scenes. Cause I am still figuring out a lot of aspects of me that need to get more solid before I ascend to this level where I have firmer boundaries about what this channel is and what I'm willing to give up and what I'm not. And so right now, because it's still really kind of tender, I am, putting this energy out there that is defensive. And I think that some of these people who are expecting, YouTube channels to sort of feel like a shopping mall. Like when you go into a shopping mall, if anybody goes to shopping malls, do they even exist anymore? But there are all these shops, and everybody who's there, who works there, is getting like paid an hourly rate to kiss your ass. It's their job. And so it makes more sense to have an expectation that people are going to be nice to you and put your needs first because it's their job to be there and to sell you shit, And a lot of people go through YouTube channels with that same attitude of like, I am here to be entertained, you're here to entertain me. So if there's anything in your content that feels like it's for you or that I'm meant to serve your needs, like the comment terms of service, then they get like a bad vibe from that. Like there's an entitlement, like you aren't entitled to set boundaries on your YouTube channel. And I would just disagree with those people. I think that's dumb. I mean, I'm not getting paid an hourly rate to come here. I'm lucky if I get $200 a month from this channel. I'm not a customer service representative. I'm like not a business owner in a shopping mall. I'm a person on the internet expressing themselves and connecting with people, and I think there's all sorts of little weird things that are wrong like that with internet culture. Like people can't tell the difference between posting a comment versus making your own video. And it's a totally different level of vulnerability. It's a totally different level of risk. And it's not just expressing yourself. The context in which you are expressing yourself matters. But once I get to a point where like I'm solid what the content is and I'm solid where I'm at and how this fits into my life and I feel good about the routine, then the terms of service thing will probably come down. you know, that'll be how you know that I'm an adult now, that I grew up. But right now it's still experimenting. It's still figuring out what I can do. And I think a reason that it really has to run its course and I have to let it take however many weeks or months it takes to do that is because, like, when I had the Fallout TV show and there was a new episode every week, that really gave me a lot of structure. I'm totally losing the game, by the way, right now. This is totally losing the game. This is so meta. This is so zoomed out. So, I had this structure, but then, like, we were only talking about the TV show. And I need, if in order to figure out what this channel is and what I feel good about and what's easy for me to produce 2 days a week, which is how long it takes. We talked about that Wednesday and Thursdays when I make shit. And basically figuring out what this channel is without the TV show as its spine, you know? What do I make when there isn't, like, because some Fallout YouTubers, like that 76 video that gave me the shout out, he does like 76 news, like being on top of these are the drops that are coming, these are the, you know, kind of Juicehead is a major, you know, kind of new, like there's new information comes in and then he makes videos about that. But that's not what I do, you know. I do this introspective, creative, what my brain finds interesting, and so I'm sort of going with the flow, and I want to, you know, decide, you know, like, with the kind of broadness. Like, we've talking about stuff that isn't Fallout. You know, I'm playing Silent Hill, and then I'm also, this is actually perfect transition to the creative stuff that I wanted to talk about, because we've talked about the TV show a lot. Because of the TV show, we've talked about New Vegas a lot. Because of Fallout Fan Celebration in Vegas, we've talked about New Vegas a lot, and now West Virginia. Let me know in the chat if you are going to West Virginia Fallout Fan Celebration, because I will be there, and it'll be really cool to meet somebody from here from that. So, I want to talk about Fallout 4. I want to talk about Fallout 4. That is, whatever I'm doing next week is going to be Fallout 4, not decided exactly on what yet. And the sketches, the comedy sketches that I'm doing with Atlas Omnicorp, are going to be the easiest to do in Fallout 4 using Fallout 4 mods, so that's another reason to crack that game open and start building our characters so I can make the Machinima movies, and that's something I've wanted to do for a really long time. We've written so many scripts, it's gonna be so funny. And also the synth thing and the Liberty Prime thing. So special thanks to Kiwi, there's Atlas and Kiwi, my bros, my hetero life mates. So this is the cast of the Machinima sketch thing that you will see. We're going to be in power armor for that, though. But this is the three of us, and we have already done, like, some readings, and it's going to be really, really funny. But Kiwi on the right there with the red hat on, did the fantastic job for me of sending me saves. He's doing a playthrough of Fallout 4, and he went through a lot of Brotherhood stuff, so I can, and most importantly, Liberty Prime. And because of the tease at the end of Season 1, I'm definitely going to want to talk about Liberty Prime before Season 3. Did I say at the end of Season 1? I meant at the end of Season 2. The end of the season. There was the Liberty Prime thing. So we want to talk about that. And so now I have saves to get the footage that I want of that. Pretty pumped. And I'm doing another playthrough where I've already done a couple videos of Far Harbor, and I'm going to finish that. So that might be what I do next week, is the next level of Far Harbor. But I have to decide what I'm going to do, like, story-wise, because I don't know how I'm going to end my Far Harbor story yet. And I feel like I want to know that in advance before I start recording. And I've been talking for a long time without looking at chat. I hope nobody's, like, really trying to get my attention. So, because you got the Brotherhood of Steel stuff, I want to do railroad stuff, because he does not seem to have that in his saves at the moment. And then eventually talk about the thing that we talked about a long time ago, which is synths. I wanted to talk about my take on synths. So while I've been doing these 76 location videos, there's, like, other stuff going on in the background. Like, there's other Fallout game stuff that I want to talk about. But I had to get the saves, I had to get the recordings. Today, I was recording Vault 81 just because on this playthrough I wanted to make sure I had Curie secured. So I recorded, even though it's like not related to any videos, I'm like, but I want to get Curie for this playthrough at this point in the game. So I put myself through it and I was like, well, while I'm here, how can I not record? That would just be dumb. And okay, now I'm going back to chat. I used to get chocolate milk and Mr. Pibb. Interesting combo. I'd like to think I'm on the path of enlightenment. I'll let you know how that's going if I ever reach it. Dude, if you ever reach it, you won't even be thinking about me anymore. Let's talk about something more positive, like the new arrival. There's new Scrubs? That was my favorite show back in the day. A show about the greatest guy. Yeah, bromance. Yeah. We're a hive mind because we're not sheep. We're black goats. I'm not awake spiritually. Oh my god. Okay. Being spiritual and being atheist are not mutually exclusive. And if you think they are, you don't know what spiritual means. But that's okay, because it's poorly taught and it's not explained. Oh shit, I caught a live, hello everyone, hello! I'm just some person on the internet. I'm bringing y'all to the kitchen to make food. Yay, we're going to the kitchen. This is probably a long time ago now, because I'm scrolling up. I should just stop talking until, like, I'm reading something that's, like, worth talking about. But what if I'm not spiritual? Good luck? As a fellow autistic person, I see both sides of the argument on the comment policy thing. Yeah, that's the thing. It's a matter of opinion. Everybody's gonna feel however they feel about it. I put it this way. The cost of putting it there is worth it to me. That's it. So when you're looking at the negative side of the comment policy, I'm willing to eat it. That cost. We created gods to understand the world. We created science to understand gods. We are still in a war between the two forms of exploration, guidance, and understanding. But I'm also a member of the Satanic Temple, and that's considered to be a non-spiritual religion, an atheistic religion, if you will. Yeah, I'm also healing from extreme Christian trauma. Purity culture really fucked me up. Yeah. I'm not a fan of, You know, I talk about Cyberpunk 2077 a lot. And because it's the other franchise, Cyberpunk is the other franchise that I'm almost as obsessed with as I am with Fallout. And I talk about Cyberpunk is a lot more spiritual, but it's not religious. Cyberpunk is very spiritual, but it is not religious. And, like, there's literally, in Cyberpunk 2077, a series of meditation quests that you can do. Like, and, there's a great line that, I was like, I love when you're watching a show or playing a game, like, the Fallout TV show is full of them, but Cyberpunk as a video game has some lines that are just like nailed it. And there's somebody who's I don't want to spoil this story, but there's somebody who's doing this very extravagant media religious thing. And there's this like news reporter character who you think is just super superficial and only in it for the money, you know, typical Cyberpunk asshole. But she's really, like, offended by this religious thing that's going on, and she says something like, I'm spiritual, and we're, like, surprised, like, really, you? Like, what do you do spiritually? And she goes, I meditate. And it's, like, just really surprising, because this person just seems like not the kind of person who would take meditation seriously. And, you know, we kind of pick at her about it, the other cast kind of picks at her about it, and then she stands up kind of angrily, and I have a video clip of this recorded, I'm sure, and just looks down and she's like, this is what you guys don't get. And this is what she says. Spirituality can never be anything but personal. Spirituality can never be anything but personal. I might be paraphrasing, but that's the idea. And I was like, oof, you know. And that's why this confusion about spirituality and religion is really frustrating to me, because religion isn't personal. Religion is a structure of a bunch of people, you know. It's a structure of a bunch of people getting in touch with their personal spirituality together. But like doctrines, purity culture, rules, None of that is spiritual. It can't be. Because spirituality isn't anything but personal. Um, it's about your relationship with your own consciousness. Nobody's sharing that with you. You are alone in your consciousness. The picture you took of the scientist Grays was a great one, and thanks to you, I took particular notice of the lighting. Yeah, and that's what got my attention, the lighting of that shot. Feijun is talking about the picture that I just posted that I had never noticed before. I mean, I haven't done the Curie Vault 81 questline in Fallout 4 in a while, but something that's kind of nice. I wish this was true with streaming, but it's not. But when I'm recording footage from a game, it's a lot easier for me to focus on every little detail. Without the recording component, I can get a little bit too ADHD and bounce around in targeting goals and not, trees not forest kind of headspace. But the recording, because it has the function of seeing all the scenery, it really allows me to like take it in. Something that I tried this week, I don't really think it's working out, is to talk and record at the same time. So, like the video that I released this week, yesterday, the 76, I go and I play the game and I record the footage and then I switch into photo mode to get the cinematic shots. And then I have a big pile of footage and I scrub through it in Premiere basically with my microphone on and just talk into the microphone, which is why there's all that kind of funny commentary about me not knowing the words for stuff. Because that's how I'm doing it. It's very free. And I thought, I could probably save myself some time if I was talking, because sometimes I'll be recording the video, the footage, and I'll have ideas of things I want to talk about when I'm doing the audio thing. And then I struggle to remember what those things were when I'm actually recording. So I'm like, I could try to, but I have that kind of autism where it's hard to stack tasks together like that. So I don't think it's very good. Maybe it's better than I think it was. That happens to me a lot where I'll record something and I'll think it's garbage and then I'll look at the footage and be like, why did I think this was garbage? But we'll see. I mean, especially with, the stuff I'm juggling and the things that I'm trying to do, it's probably a good idea for me to figure out how to streamline as much as possible. I might have both, maybe before I record the audio. So far, all I've done that for is Far Harbor. And I wasn't even planning on doing a Far Harbor location thing. I just wanted to record footage of me walking around Far Harbor. But then I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Oh, I should turn on the microphone and see what comes out of my mouth, because I'm just talking about how beautiful all of this is. And maybe it'll be funny. Because the goal with those videos is to be amusing, to be entertaining. Bigfoot has emerged. Is that worth it? Is the Bigfoot thing funny? Funny. That's not the word I was looking for. Is it entertaining? If I ever get off my ass and start my own channel, I'm completely stealing your concept of the terms of service. I've heard that before. I've heard other people say that. So I'm like, maybe I'm onto something with it. I do want to let it go eventually, but I do think it's a good idea now. I'm interested in whatever you have to say, but I'm still waiting for your Terminator one. Yeah, I remember a show called Ascension, which I think relates a lot with Silo. Yeah. When I was talking about what exactly about Terminator? What specifically about Terminator? I feel like I've talked a lot about Terminator things. Like things like how it projected or predicted my life. You can have the Liberty Prime power armor on a stand to display in your video. I wish. So will you or one of your friends be wearing the decapitalist helmet with the yes man face? Decapitalist. Same here, which, asking permission if that would be okay to copy, but in my own words. Yeah, do whatever you want. Basically, as far as, people using the terms of service, it would be nice if you, gave me a shout out in the video description or something, But it's not really a requirement. I guess the fear is, maybe I do want people to know that I wrote that first. I don't know. That seems very egocentric and not quite like me. it is kind of annoying that I think I'm going to see if I can turn off a couple of the lights around my door so that they're not backlit behind the chat. That is some kind of irritating. Door. Mm-hmm. Haha. I could turn it down a lot, so it's not off, but it is down to 1% brightness. It does something. Okay. I'm still recovering from spiritual religious trauma, so I just have a hard time with it. I am in my angry atheist stage. Yes, you are entitled to... Basically, this is all where I draw the line. I don't care if people are, you know, atheist and not spiritual or whatever. What I have a problem with is when they say things that are full-on wrong about spirituality, like basically like assuming that it's about religion, or like think it's dumb and childish because they don't actually understand it. You know, it's like if like as long as there's respect, you know, for this is a person who orients themselves in reality in a way that I do not comfortably orient myself in my reality, that is totally fine. I do kind of try to use spirituality as a metaphor for myself. Honestly, it is. I mean, in my opinion, spirituality and science are basically two schools of thought looking at the same thing. You know, kind of like you can, if you're, you know, studying a culture, you can study a culture from an ethnographic, you know, toolkit, or you can study it from an anthropological toolkit. You can study it from a sociological toolkit. You know, spirituality and religion, spirituality and science are often the same way, but like you'll see a lot of spiritual people who will get like, yeah, now is an appropriate time to look at it with science, but you don't get that same respect from the science side, and that bugs me. The science side is like, oh, if it's spirituality, it's hullabaloo and it's irrelevant, and I'm like, millions, bazillions of people on the planet don't agree with you on that. Maybe they're not all crazy, you know? Like, I was told I had demons, so that's really not about spirituality. It's, yeah, exactly. That's a doctrine. That's to control bumbling bottoms. I don't know, I think religious views should be between me and my plate of spaghetti. Fair enough. I did enjoy your reactions to being attacked in that video, though. Really? Did that sell? I guess I got a couple compliments on that. That was sort of an experiment. And that's the kind of stuff that really makes me feel like I'm growing creatively, is being able to screw around with stuff like that. Is that a displate on your wall? What's it a picture of? This? No, it's just a poster, and it's just Lucy from Fallout TV show. It's, I got it at Fallout Fan Celebration 2024, I believe. I was thinking that too, but it's funnier how it is. The dog leaving the gate open. I was so happy to, that was another thing I really enjoyed about this week's video, is the callback to like the get, because in the first video I talked about that happening, but I didn't have any footage of it, so I just showed Beckett and the dog. But while I was doing my recording, because I happened to come home and see it happen, I was like, oh, I can't resist. I gotta record this, and I got it. It's a thing. Maybe like next time I record in Fallout 76, I should make sure to get my this is another thing I like about this chair, is that I can shift into this L from Death Note position. This might be a solution to my wanting to get up and stand up. Changing positions makes my ADHD happy. I just took a still. Well, if we're going to talk about religion, here's important. Adam or the Wise Mothman. Frankly, I've actually thought about that because the cultists in Fallout are so, maybe I feel the same way about the religious orders in Fallout that a lot of these bros feel about the Brotherhood of Steel as presented in the TV show. I would love to see a cult in a Fallout game that was hauntingly convincing. That didn't just look like crazy assholes. That would be really intriguing. Like, what if they had all of the... They got really close to that with Acadia and Far Harbor. Really close. Oh, Far Harbor is so good, but it's like... I mean, we'll see how I feel about it when I officially finish it. Like, I'd gone through it, half ADHD masked, a while back, but recording it kind of, like I was saying, kind of gives me a deeper paying attention to what's happening. Why the Mothman cultists have cool looking shit, that's for sure. That was something I actually recorded some footage that it didn't make it into the Fallout 76 of Point Pleasant in because there was cool Mothman museum stuff over there. But it didn't make the cut. I was like, it's already long enough with the... That's the thing, I love recording that stuff so much. I can bog myself down with a bunch of locations. I actually made the video longer than I intended to because I didn't want to have... Like, Point Pleasant's the only one that fell off the list, so I don't feel the itchiness of having footage that I haven't used yet. I'm still a ways off of finally getting any videos going anywhere, but the TOS idea is like a helpful buffer to stave off some fears. TOS? All I see is the original series, like Star Trek. What do I did find the fancy microphone I bought for making vids, so maybe I can use that for gaming. Maybe you can. Did my message get skipped over? Did it? What did... It happens sometimes. Funny story, the very first Twitch streamer I started watching was a Fallout 4 streamer. I've been subscribed to them for like 5.5 years now. Nice. Was that the message that you were talking about? The Wise Mothman for me. I like the sound he makes when you finish his event. Pastafarians. Were you thinking of Pastafarians as an example of like a hauntingly convincing cult? Well, if we're talking about the religious cults in Fallout, I really want to know more about the Eldritch Horrors. I've been talking to a friend of mine about that a lot too. I watched a video recently talking about the cosmic horror, Lovecraftian sort of elements that are under the surface in Fallout. Yes, I saw it. Sorry, sometimes I miss messages. The terms of service. In this case, but I love your brain. Was it Star Trek first? I mean, I see those 3 letters together. That's Star Trek for shorthand. There's definitely a supernatural line through Fallout I kind of wish would get explored more. Kind of don't too. Yeah, I don't want it to be explored any more deeply, but more shit like that. That's where I would draw the line. Kind of when I was talking about the fisherman and the captain at Fisherman's Rest in 76. There's some, I guess it's not quite Lovecraftian, but something about it is. I don't really know why. But I like seeing it, but I don't want it explained. There's certain things that I don't want to see explained. If there's a group that's a reference to like the Ghostbusters and you get to join them and mess around looking at locations. All I can remember is that it's on the... But there is one thing, as far as, me feeling like the cults are a little bit too goofy and aren't that convincing, there is an aspect of the Children of Adam. Maybe one of you can tell me this, because I don't... Why don't they ghoulify? Or die because of the radiation? Like, they talk about it a little bit in Far Harbor, how there's, like, some people who are basically, like, talented in some way. that just don't ghoulify or anything, and they don't need suits, and they just bask in atoms. Right, that's very measurable. That's science behind that. That's a not just I have weird spiritual beliefs. There's something going on that's impacting physical reality with the way that their bodies interact. And I don't know if they've ever explained that really. But if anybody understands what that's about, why the children of Adam aren't affected by radiation. Not all of them, apparently. I think I thought it was all of them at one point, but Far Harbor clarifies that it's not everybody. Not everybody can withstand the radiation. In Fallout 3, there was a baby and a whole storyline about some people being born. Ooh, if I ever do a video on this topic, I'm gonna be asked. I guess I can look that up, or maybe I should write it down. I like the ADHD grouch in me. It's like, I don't want to write things down. Okay. Children of Adam and immunity. Eventually, it would be kind of nice to have so many organized saves and so much footage across all these games that I could just pick a topic like that I'm curious about and just be able to pull up the sections of the game that have the dialogue and the conversations. That would be cool. Because I am pretty damn devoted to, in these videos, only showing game footage that I have recorded and played myself. It's really like a kind of ethical purity thing. I almost crossed that line this week talking about Silent Hill 3 because I'm like, oh my god, it would be such a pain to install an emulator and get a ROM of Silent Hill 3, and then how deep in the game would I be satisfied to get the footage that looks like the other. I'm like, it was just, for this one shot, it's just not worth it, which is why I cut to stills at the part where I'm talking about Silent Hill 3. But other times I mention Silent Hill, I cut to game footage that I recorded right here on the stream playing Silent Hill 2. All the Sonic, the stuff we when I was talking about Parallax, I used Trine 2, Night in the Woods, and Sonic Mania. I went and opened all those games to record those clips as examples of Parallax. You know. So yes, I use AI-generated backing music, but I go the distance other places, damn it. It's very intentional. Very, like, I want credit for the things that I do. And I put a lot of work in organizing all of my files. That means, like, every cutaway in all those videos when I cut to Fantastic, you know, the clip of Fantastic saying, when I was like, House wouldn't have put Fantastic in charge of Helios 1. I recorded that shit. Like, if I'm gonna do all that effort, then I want praise. This kind of goes back to the whole idea of talking about woke content, right? So, you know, Anita Sarkeesian famously made woke content, before woke was a term, about video games, and a lot of people hated her, and, you know, Gamergate, etc. And it's one of those things where, you know, when you look at the narrative, it was very much painted as like, oh, she was, you know, ahead of her time, and those assholes in the gaming community were misogynists and Gamergate, and they chased her up. Ooh, thank you for the $10 for credit. Like, did I give you credit for something, or do I need to give you credit for something? Or for right, the Anita Sarkeesian thing. But when you really look at all the nuance and the gray area stuff, she did do stuff like it's one thing to get on YouTube and talk shit about a game and talk and criticize, you know, the gaming community, but then to steal their footage, you know, like, they caught her doing things like when she'd review a game and say that she played it, but she would pull gameplay footage. And it's not like when you pull footage from like a TV show or a movie, because it's different every time you pull it up because it's a video game, and, you know, the angles and how the player was playing, etc. And that really stuck out to me especially because I do talk about, you know, woke, socially conscious, critical stuff. I'm like, if I'm gonna say this shit about these games, I'm at least gonna prove that I'm one of them, in the sense that I am actually playing and putting in that effort to record my own footage. And, you know, especially coming from personal development and neurodivergent content, I really could see people getting the impression that, oh, I wanted to talk about personal development and neurodivergence and it didn't take off, so now I'm invading the Fallout community with my woke, gay, communist agenda. But no, I really have been a real Fallout fan this whole time, and pretty hardcore. My life pretty much revolves around Fallout. I just care about shit too. I have a funny anecdote about my first experience with Fallout 4, but it involves plot spoilers. I don't know if I can share it. It's a good question. Because, I mean, I put warnings in front of all of my shit about spoilers. So I kind of tend to assume that this crowd is either, you know, played a bunch of stuff or don't mind being spoiled. Because I guess try to be as vague as possible about details. That's what I try to do. Like, if there's really no way to talk about it without spoiling, but I try to be, like, conscious of it. But relating to the video you want to make about the servers, what the surface is the experiment, that the government was trying to figure out if humans can evolve in harsh conditions on their own. Yeah. Or what humanity does when it's not being controlled, which is sort of what we're trying to figure out by playing, aren't we? Part of why I'm not further in my creative career is I feel like I should only use graphics elements made by me. Yeah. Autism can make us really perfectionists about this kind of thing, too. I think, like, it really started not because I was, like, trying to make a moral stand as much as, if I recorded it myself, then there's no doubt. Then there's no worry about consequences for using somebody else's footage. And it's almost... And also, like, I like recording video game footage, so I'm like, if I like doing it, and I'll have better goodwill with the community, you know? Like, if there's a way, for all the stuff that's happened with AI, if there's a way to do something without using AI, I will default that direction. Which is something that I wanted to circle back to when we talk about Atlas's website, but I'm probably due for another... I'm gonna take another wee break. Shorter this time, though. Oh, I made this coffee, and I've barely had any sips of it. There's a sound theory that the mother is one of the missionaries. There's a wrecked house out there with Children of Adam banners and a stealth boy suggesting she is a human person. Oh. Yeah. If I end up talking about Children of Adam immunity. Or if I end up making that joke concept of how would Fallout be different if all feral ghouls wore tiny hats? People would have been really... I would assume that would be the area where the mother thing would have to be in Far Harbor, the island, right? People would have been really forgiving of her if she just actually had videos of herself playing, even if they're just a montage of failures. Yeah! Right? I don't remember, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to take another break, but when I come back, I want to talk about the Atlas Omnicorp. I've talked a little bit about the sketches, but I want to talk about the website. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna catch up on chat, but there's stuff that I want to make sure that I talk about before I get distracted. So, Atlas Omnicorp. I have talked about this. Ooh, there was actually one more thing that I wanted to do before I turned off the VRV. Maybe I can do it while I'm talking. What am I doing? No, the BRB's been going back up for a second. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. So, Atlas Omnicorp. The link to the Atlas Omnicorp website is in the description. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that is Atlas Omnicorp is a project, a very strongly Fallout related project outside of Lindsay's Fallout channel. Atlas Omnicorp is a 3D printed props store that sells mostly Fallout replicas. So we have a vendor booth. We had a vendor booth at Fallout Fan Celebration this past year. We're gonna have one in West Virginia. Sound off in the chat if you're gonna be at West Virginia Fallout Fan Celebration. It would be really cool to see you. So we have been working on stuff in the future because I really wanted to make Fallout content that generates revenue and actually sells something, but I'm a lot more interested in making content that sells his props that are related to Fallout as opposed to, you know, mobile games and the kind of shit that you end up sponsoring, you know, Fallout gaming videos. So, that has been something that's been being developed in the background alongside Lindsay's Fallout. So, what I wanted to show y'all now is, so here is me and Atlas. So Atlas of Atlas Omnicorp is, aka Nick, is on the left with the Robco hat, and then Kiwi is on the right, and these are my friends that I make stuff with. So we are working on sketches, and the idea is that these sketches are going to be shorts, they're going to be comedy, they're going to be on the Atlas Omnicorp YouTube channel, and the idea is to sell his props with the content. And that's one of the reasons I'm going back to Fallout 4, is because I think I'm going to make the machinima in Fallout 4. So, we've had this like list of kind of stuff to sort of get the business rolling where it needs to be, preparing for West Virginia, having a nice website that people can go to. So the new website is going to be up this week. Not sure exactly when. We have a couple more things we need to finish on the FAQ page and stuff like that. But I wanted to share that with you all. Because I've, been putting a lot of work into it. So here is, actually, let's hide the window cap. First, I wanted to show you this screenshot from Squarespace, because basically what has happened is he had the old website, which you can see at the bottom there, the green and black, but then he got a new style sheet made, and he got, a new logo, and so basically the business cards and the flag that we put up at the vendor tent and has this one set of branding, but the website didn't match it at all. So it has been my Robco pocket autistic job to tie the whole brand together in all of these elements. And so that picture gives you a little preview of what the site looked like before, and then this is what the site looks like now. This is not online yet. It will be this week, but and this is an example of what I was talking about earlier with you know, I'll record the video and you know, put in effort to get my own footage, you know, and I will use AI tools. I have my own moral kind of framework of when it's appropriate to use and when it's not. And this is an example of when we absolutely did not use AI. Did not use AI. The Atlas OmniCorp logo was designed by a graphic designer. The Omni girl that you see in that sticker was also commissioned by an artist. Admittedly, I ended up tweaking the color to our design likings, not because the artist couldn't do it, but because we were gonna, like, really afraid we were gonna drive this person insane with, can you color it this way? Can you color it? Like, we really just needed to dick off with it until it, and fill in the colors until we saw something that we liked. But the background image came from, we were both really, really strongly in agreement that we wanted to do dirty future, used future. We really love the aesthetic of like the first two Fallout games where it's colorful and really dark. And I'll go back to later why this was just really appropriate. So I took his product pictures, and there's a bunch of product pictures that I took myself that I put together with a collage app, and you know, made it dark and put the kind of crumpled paper texture over it to sort of almost looks like a barrage of stickers on a wall almost. And you'll see that same sort of aesthetic with the collages on his social media accounts as well. And I was so happy that he liked that font for Atlas OmniCorp, because I was so happy with it, and I would have been so bummed if he made me change it. So it's got like the name, it says 3D printed props, and one of the things that we changed was I put the shop on the front page, because it used to be, it was like a kind of what it's like right now. If you want to see the website, the old website, it is currently live, but because this is rolling out this week. And I wanted to, there's a lore. Atlas OmniCorp has like a fictional lore. And so it was kind of a trick in writing the copy for the site so that it makes it clear like what the real products are, like what we actually sell versus what is the fictional lore. So there's a button here to explore the Omni lore, and this page will give you like the whole kind of story of, and this is also, you guessed it, the lore and backstory of the sketches, the comedy sketches that we're doing. There's a whole thing. And FAQ is one of the things that we have to finish before we roll out the website. I should probably update that tomorrow, to be honest with you. And he loves this little wireframe version of the logo that I put here. He keeps talking about it. He's pretty pumped. Yup, I made that. And then there is the store page. One of the things that needs to be worked on is the prices. Right now, they're just kind of space fillers, so don't look at the prices and freak out, because I don't know which ones are accurate and which ones aren't. But these pictures, these really pretty ones with the desert background, yeah, those were taken in the Mojave, right around the corner from the Pioneer Saloon. We were both so excited about the opportunity to be able to do that, to take product pictures of Fallout props on location. Like how rare an opportunity is to do that with a video game location. So it's pretty cool. I'm super proud of these pictures. However, if you look at the older pictures, like the ones that he took in his like workshop, it's even though they're like, you know, kind of slapdash pictures, because the branding has this like collage kind of workshop used future feel to it. Even the pictures that aren't like professionally done like mine still look on brand. Like they still look appropriate, and that is absolutely by design, and it makes me so happy. Look at this! I love the pictures. Yeah, which one has, I think the pictures I liked the most are the mini nuke pictures. Yeah, and he can put tape in the holotapes too. Did I not upload any more pictures? thought I uploaded more of those. Maybe I'll fix that too. There are more pictures of that exist for sure. This was such a last minute decision. Like I was looking at this with just the button and I was like, it needs another picture right here. And so I threw that together in Photoshop. And man, only an autistic brain can just throw that. Like look how balanced it is. The conscious composition of that. I love it. It was such a last minute decision, but it was really fun. Which other one has good pictures? I love this dynamite picture. It's funny, it's such a simple product, but it photographs so well. Maybe the gun pictures. Oh man, I really like the... Let's look at the jet pictures. I think that one should have a lot of pictures in it. Because he already had a lot of pictures of jet. Clean and dirty. It's so funny how like the clean ones look cheaper and are less expensive than the dirty ones because the dirty ones required painting. Yeah, so this is the Atlas website, which will hopefully up this week, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm really excited about the store. And then I'm gonna have to like figure out how to be like a cool person who can talk to celebrities at the con, so we can take pictures of famous content creators holding Atlas products. Because, you know, networking, and I'm bad at that. I'm bad at that stuff. All right, now I will look at chat. I didn't realize the plot twist was supposed to be a twist. I thought the opening was clearly communicating the reality. What are you talking about with that? What twist? Man, I wish I could go to the celebration that's happening in West Virginia. I hate that I have to miss it. Throughout 90% of the game, as the characters kept talking as if reality was something different. When the twist happened, I was like, oh, that's what I thought the whole time. Yeah, which twist of which thing? I don't. I always fully buy into every story I'm watching unfold, just going with the flow of it, and sometimes it's delightful, but that time it wasn't. It's funny, my playstyle in Fallout 4 kind of mirrored the black and white nature of my autism. I was a power fist plus sniper build. Yeah! Oh, and a lot of VATS. VATS is so autistic friendly. Maybe it relates to the ghoul hat thing. Why are they naked and why are they genderless? But that could be a good reason why they feel so strongly about wearing wigs and wearing different outfits to express themselves so they don't lose themselves by TV rules. They aren't always genderless and naked. There's a group of ferals and 4 that wear it. Yeah, a lot of them have clothes. The ghoul is from Sanctuary Hills. Let's get you popular so that you can get an interview with one of the actors. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Reminds me of the I Spy books. I need those mushrooms. The mushrooms are cool, and they do glow in the dark. But you have to like point a light at it for a while. They have to like charge. The website is looking good, and what he makes looks cool too. I'm happy for you both. Yay! I'm happy for us too. 1 year for Christmas, my mom painted a bunch of Altoid tins. It's all Mentat tins and foot stuff like a small first aid kit one. That's so cute! I'm talking about Fallout 4. That's my anecdote about Fallout 4. Like, you mean the twist that father was older? No, I'm spoiling. I'm like, does everybody, like, feels like, it's like watching Silent Hill 2 videos, and you're like, did you know that James killed his wife? Oh my god, what? Like, it's like the Sixth Sense. Bruce Willis was a ghost. How did you put that together at the beginning? that he was going to be the head of the Institute? Or was it just that he was older? Like, where would you have even gotten that idea? Like, in fact, I'm kind of annoyed about the twist in Fallout 4 because I didn't think it was teased enough. Like, it just sort of seemed like, for example, when I'm so glad that I have enough saves saved that I never have to do this again. The Kellogg Memory Den memories. Like, every time, like, I'm so annoyed I don't want to do this because every time you do a new Fallout 4 game, you have to fucking go through Kellogg's memories again. And it sucks because there's probably things that are intriguing about Kellogg's memories, but I'm so irritated by doing that section so many times. But in that memory sequence, they just full on skip a huge chunk of time that would have to have been removed for you to not figure out what happened. You know? Like, it was just really convenient. And, I think I saw another YouTuber complaining about this, and they said something like, it's not a twist if you, like, deliberately delete the things that would have helped us put it together. Like, a really well done twist gives you the clues the whole time. Silo has a great one. And I just rewatched Silo a second time. And watching it the second time, you see how many clues it gives you about, like, one of the main twists. And it was delicious, you know? But I feel like, in the case of Fallout 4, it just kind of felt like new random information. It didn't really feel like a twist because it just felt like... And I think that the convenience of there not being a clue... Like, there should have been a clue in Kellogg's memories about the time jump, in my opinion. One year for Christmas, my mom painted a bunch... Alright, so... You go under again after Sean is taken. Oh, I agree with that. Like, I definitely... I absolutely had that thought. Who knows how long it's been. But they kind of showcased that with him being a child all of a sudden. You know? Like, even if the child Sean had really been Sean, which it wasn't, then that would have explained that. That time jump would have been like, oh, that's why he's a child. But how would you go from that to he's an old man that runs the Institute? Like, him being any age, absolutely, they showcased that. You know? But what he ended up actually being, not just older, but that much older and running the Institute, was like, like, they closed the loop on what you're talking about when they showed Child Sean. How would you go from Child Sean to he's an old man? Like, and then I've had the same thought about Janie from the TV show. I think it would be very on brand for the show for when we meet Janie, she's like old. Or at least an adult. She won't be a child. Because of that exact reasoning. And also the show has done a lot of, like, pulling things from the games and, like, sort of remixing it. Like, the story of Fallout 3 is about you're looking for your dad, and the story of Fallout 4 is you're looking for a family member who turns out to be the villain. They put those two together with Hank, you know? And this thing with we don't know who has a chip installed in the back of their neck, or who has a Robbie's mind blowers in the back of their neck, that seems like a copy of a lot of synth stuff. People having their memories wiped is very Railroad synth stuff. And so the idea of there's a kid that went into cryo, and we don't know when they were out of cryo, therefore we have no idea how old the kid is now. I feel like they're gonna do that. I feel like Janie's not gonna be a kid. It really feels like they're gonna do that again. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. And it seems like also, like, it could be a cool clue if there's somebody we've already seen as an adult, like Moldaver kind of person, that oh my god, it turns out that was Janie the whole time, but we never guessed it because she's an adult. But because she's like distinctly half black, half white, then whatever actor would have to be also half black, half white, or at least look half black, half white for that to work. And that's another thing that bothers me in Bethesda games. Like, it doesn't matter what race you make Nate and Nora, the color of Sean doesn't change. That's weird. Same thing with Starfield. You can have parents in Starfield, and it doesn't matter what skin color you give your character, the parents are gonna look the same. Why do they keep doing that? That's so weird. I'm surprised they don't get more shit for it. It's not very woke. Like, you would think that they could just put some programming in. Whatever skin color shade your character is what skin color shade your parents and your kid are gonna be. Like, that seems like it could be done. But then it's always mystifying what the creation engine is incapable of doing. Like in Fallout 76, how we have to go to JVO to get a disguise. Like, that seems so clunky. It's such a clunky way to solve the ghoul problem. I did see him setting you free was the cause of your adventure. The moment I went under for the second, I was like, oh, so my son's gonna be old now, right? You went all the way to old. Okay, so you just had a really good guess. It wasn't obvious. Just so you know. You had a really good guess. And everybody kept talking about the kid being young, and I was like, you don't know that at all. It's south of Children of Adam Shrine and little east of Haddock Cove. It's in the attic of one of the wrecked houses there. Oh, you're talking about the mother thing. I'll have to come back to that. I'm kind of pulling for Barb to be a ghoul. That'd be really interesting. I'm not like for or against that idea, but I'm intrigued by it. I'd have to see like where they were going with that. Because I was already thinking in terms of how Barb is going to cope with him being like a gross ghoul now. I didn't even think about what if she was also a ghoul. If Janie was a ghoul and Barb wasn't, that'd be interesting too, because then she'd feel responsible for the ghoulification of her family. There's a lot of different places they could go. The only thing that I feel moderately certain that we're going to see in Season 3 is Maximus getting disillusioned by the NCR. I talked about this in the Addicts video about how, and this goes back to the beginning of this stream when I was talking about, you know, when you have identity disturbance or enmeshment trauma and there's like an abuser's voice in your head that's telling you, you know, discouraging you from things. It would make a lot of sense if there was a lot of Quintus talking in his head next season. Maybe not literally. I think literally that might be too much. But like suggesting that he needs to deprogram. Like a good example of this is like when the very first episode when he's getting beat up and then Dane helps him up and says, flesh is weak, steel endures, and he goes, yeah, I know, and how like creepy it was that was like a nice or comforting thing to say, even though it was like really messed up and really devaluing or dehumanizing. And I think that he's gonna still have ideas in his head like that about what he does or doesn't have the right to do that are gonna take him time to shake off. And I think, and I've also talked about, I compared it to, you know, people who are in romantic relationships all the time because they can't be single. And whenever they break up with somebody, they're immediately in a relationship again because they have this need to be like attached, partnered to somebody in order to regulate and to function. And how people like me and Maximus are sort of the same way, but not with romantic relationships necessarily, with, you know, having another keeper, having another voice in our head so that we don't have to face the void, the pain tunnel of what do you do when there's nobody telling you what to do. And I think it's pretty clear by the end of season 2 that he's starting to really start projecting that onto the NCR. Like that basically, like, Shady Sands is gone, the Brotherhood let him down, he needs something to be a part of, and he's gonna gravitate, and he's gonna, and I think another angle that foreshadows this possibly is Lucy when they see the communist vault, he's like, the ghoul says, oh, matching jackets, and when she meets the NCR, she's not dazzled, she's not amazed, it's probably the most cynical that she's been, really, other than just the disappointment in her father, but like on a superficial level, just distrust, you know, when she meets new people who seem so nice. Old Lucy, you know, Lucy before the Legion would have looked at that and been like, oh, look, these are the good guys. Like, remember how she used to feel about the Brotherhood? I thought this was a really great, you know, fandom aware moment in the first season of when the Brotherhood is coming for the head. And she's like, the Brotherhood, isn't that your guys? They're the good guys, right? They're the heroes, right? And Daddy just goes, it's a complicated organization, you know? NCR is a complicated organization. And Maximus has had this moment of faith and belief. And I think that it's going to really fuck him up if he's like, finally, I found the good guys that I can be a part of. And he's going to be a part of, and he's going to start seeing the fantastic decisions and the not so fantastic decisions. That's where I'd be really surprised. Because Lord knows I've been wrong before. I'd be really surprised if we're not going to see Maximus really believing in the NCR, Lucy being the first people to see a problem. Kind of like the way Lucy was telling Maximus in Vault 4, like, I know you want a safe place, but this isn't it, you know? But it turned out it was a safe place. So I could see him bringing that back, you know? Lucy being like, you know, I know you really want to believe in the NCR, but there's stuff wrong here. And Maximus being like, you said the same thing in Vault 4 and look what happened. You know, like I could see that happening. This feels very set up, feels very teed up, doesn't it? Maybe it's good that I'm recording this, because if I try to be right, I could be like, ha, I said this on the stream. I'll just remember that I was wearing a Joshua Graham shirt in that particular stream. This is, if anybody hasn't noticed it yet, I'm wearing my Joshua Graham shirt. Doop-a-doop. Janie being old would be on brand for Christopher Nolan as well, since he did it in Interstellar. Yeah, good point. And apparently there's a lot of Westworld tie-ins. Yeah, that's like, I don't like Westworld tie-ins. I feel like there's a lot of Westworld tie-ins with the Fallout games that he hasn't touched on the show, weirdly. Like, if you look at the Westworld creation of the androids in that universe and then look at the way the Institute built since, it's like shot for shot. In fact, I could probably recreate that. I could probably like do the shots from the Westworld intro and cut them with matching footage. That might be a fun short. I'm gonna write that down. I feel like somebody else had to have already done it. Cutting Westworld with synth production. I am excited to talk about synths in videos. I think they're so cool. I think the synth story is really cool. It's funny, I was watching a video from a particularly sassy YouTuber today that normally talks crap about everything, but even he was like, Far Harbor's really cool. Far Harbor is has probably, I think that this particular video said something about Far Harbor being like some of the best story writing in Fallout 4 in general. It definitely, Far Harbor definitely raised some of the same kind of New Vegas-y feelings of there's no right answer. And I hate it, and I love it, and I love hating it. In Starfield, the mom does make a joke that she has some work done from the genetics company. That makes it even worse. Like, if she made herself white with genetic engineering, like if your character's not white, maybe flashbacks of things that happened with Quintus. That might be campy. But I've seen the show pull off things I didn't think it could. Janie was the super mutant who tried to recruit the ghoul. Janie's Ron Perlman. That's so funny. In the Fallout world, there's a group of popular there is something about, no, they wouldn't do that, but there's something that tickles me about the idea that Janie is that super mutant. In the Fallout world, there's a group of popular superheroes. I used to know this. The Hubris comics, The Unstoppables, right? As Cooper is a famous actor, what do you think the hero he will play as, or do you think he could be one of the villains? Fallout 76 for reference. That's a fun question. Which one of the Unstoppables? I'll have to look at the wiki and see what quests or terminals can, because you can like see the pictures in the billboards and you can see the magazines probably, but I wonder if we can get more Unstoppables stuff. Lore. Comment more about more matching jackets. I did mention that. Because of what he remembers of them as a kid, he likely has them on a pedestal now that the Brotherhood has still gotten... Yeah, exactly. Fallout 4 did this construction of the synth before Westworld. Ooh! Did it? I don't remember when... I thought Westworld was first. Do I just not remember when Westworld came out? Yeah, Westworld started in 2016 and the game came out 2015. Interesting. Oh my god, that is interesting. Ha ha ha. Busted. Maybe not before the war, but now surely. Nope, Fallout 4 was first. That's crazy. Then it's definitely ripped off. Definitely. Oh man. How did I not know that? Why I really thought Westworld was maybe because I watched Westworld before I played Fallout 4, maybe. It's possible. Did I really wait that long to play Fallout 4? It couldn't have been that long after. But maybe it was a long time after that I got that far in the game, because me and my ADHD, we do tend to wander off. Okay, what else did I want to... So, you guys know that how much I love, answering questions, and I'm always pressuring you guys to ask me questions because I like the interactivity, the back and forth. How do you guys feel about trivia? I actually have a bunch of Fallout trivia questions that I have saved in my phone that I threw together because I thought I was going to do, like, sort of man on the street bits at Fallout Fan Celebration and, find people and ask them trivia questions for fun. Or just, like, opinion questions. And then I ended up not using any of them because just everything that I had to do at Fallout Fan Celebration was so... it took up all my neurons, and I ended up burning myself out, so I didn't have time to add anything new. But I still have, basically two sets of questions. There's trivia questions, and then there's, like, icebreaker questions. That's just, like, fun stuff to just ask you guys that you can just answer. I guess I could, like, run in the... And you can't prove I'm cheating. Yeah, you can look it up. It's just to have fun. Like, if you want to not look it up. Like, if you guess it too fast, you don't give other people, time to sort of guess. Because it's not a competition. There's not going to be a winner. It's just more to, like, have fun answering the questions. I don't want to add any structure to it. Yeah, maybe we will do that. Maybe we could do that tonight as the last thing when I'm done talking about everything else that I want to talk about. So we talked about the Atlas website. We talked about the synth video topic, Children of Adam, neurodivergence, oh right, the Curie romance thing, whether the morally objectionable quality of... Oh, I wanted to say one more thing about the spirituality thing. This is why I hit the BRB again when I came back. Is I wanted to put this link in the description. So one of the reasons I went on that tangent about that quote from Cyberpunk 2077 about spirituality being personal is because it really undercuts, because so many people have spiritual trauma and religious oppression, suppression, that it can be hard to talk about certain topics that suggest spirituality because it can be triggering. So, that's why I really like that quote, because it really solidifies that, like, when I'm talking about spirituality, I'm, like, if I'm talking about vibes, for instance, vibrations, I'm not talking about some, like, framework that I learned from a guru that I'm applying to my reality. I'm talking about something I physically feel, like direct sensory input, like perceiving the world, data coming in, me feeling it. And so when I was talking about spirituality, describing things science hasn't explained yet, basically, and this spiritual framework of talking about vibrations is the only framework that I've learned about in the world that actually maps cleanly over this direct lived experience. And as soon as there is a more civilized, less new agey, less woo, more science way to describe things, I tend to lean that way. I tend to not, like, I basically dip into the spiritual terminology if there is no science terminology yet to describe what I'm talking about. And I would say that I touched on this kind of stuff the most as far as in the Fallout videos in obviously the faith video. So basically, if anybody is curious about the topic, once again, because this isn't a religion, it is a framework, I did a video a couple years ago. I just saw it was 3 years ago, apparently, called Spirituality for the Skeptical Autistic, basically. And the purpose of it isn't to make anybody spiritual or to convert anybody, because like I said, not a religion. Basically, the goal is kind of like what I was saying earlier, to prove that it's not crazy. And I touched on that in the Fallout TV show Faith video when I was talking about how when you grasp that there has to be a bunch of stuff going on that you don't understand outside of your perception all the time, then it's actually perfectly rational to open yourself up to the universe. Not because it has any conscious intention for you or that it loves you or anything like that. It doesn't have to. The point is, you don't know what it's doing. That's something that I really, really liked in Star Trek. If anybody watched Deep Space Nine, the prophets, the concept of the prophets. That's something that I really liked about the way that the prophets were handled, is that the prophets were wormhole aliens. They were real. But they had real physical impact on the wormhole, on the aliens, took Cisco into other states of consciousness that he really experienced without having to be on drugs. Like, there were real things that were happening. But it was the religious beliefs of the Bajorans to worship them like gods and to believe and have faith that they have a plan for them, but they don't grasp what it is and they don't think they're supposed to grasp what it is. But it's they have a relationship to a real thing. The relationship that they have is religion, doctrine, opinion. Fancy, complicated opinions. But the aliens were real, right? But the relationship that they choose to have with the aliens is personal. And the religious associations with that relationship is cultural. Once again, it's the same stuff, different angles, right? So, basically, what your spiritual belief is, whatever it is your opinion, your personal relationship with something that is real. We just don't know what it is or what the fuck we're doing here. And this is what I don't like about the skeptic mindset, is it's like, if science hasn't proved something that's real, it's not real at all. When that is nonsense, because science discovers very real things that have been there the whole time that we just didn't know about every day. There are things that exist that we don't know about. And so when I'm talking about vibes and vibration, I'm talking about something that I am feeling, that I am experiencing, that science just doesn't have a consistent, solid framework for. So if anybody's curious about that, the video is in the description, and the point of that video isn't to give somebody spiritual beliefs. It's just to make logical, rational arguments for why spiritual beliefs aren't crazy. You know? And I touched on that in the Fallout TV video about faith when I was talking about believing that the universe has stuff going on outside of your current perception is like necessary for growth and evolution. Because if you don't believe that things exist outside of your perception, or that new things can't unfold in your reality, then they won't, because you won't notice them. Because you're not open to the possibility. So much of it is about your brain being open to different possibilities. It can be really dangerous to just think like you're in a washing machine, tumble, 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 and never actually open the door. Those are like Gen 2 synths with better skin on their hands. Westworld is a really great show for those of you who haven't. I mean, it's frustrating. I feel like they've gotten much better as storytellers on Fallout. The concepts and there's so much stuff in Westworld that I'm like, this is so Fallout. Like, there's even like a tower that looks like the Lucky 38 in, I think, I want to say the 3rd season. Religions as we have them today are kind of modern. It's pretty fascinating how spirituality in Fallout has changed. It's strange for me because I don't think Gen 2 synths are what we think they are. I think the Gen 2s are the teddy bears all over Boston, and I have a reference for my theory if anyone wants it. I'm curious about that. I guess you can put the title of the video or something, because I don't know if you can put links in chat. Ritualized practices to organize the unexplained, find community, sometimes police legitimacy, but more often than not find order to a scary and large universe. Which isn't bad or wrong, but interesting. Yeah, I would say that anything that tries to add more control and take mystery and faith out of it is doing it wrong. House has faith in math. Probability, honestly. But I kind of railed against that in that House video. Like, I was like, human beings are not programming nodes. His need to make everybody predictable is just his nervous system. Really. His intolerance of uncertainty is... If spiritual beliefs and our organized religion gives you direction and a framework on how to be a nice human, 'tis hard to fault it. The trouble comes when it's used to exploit and harm others. Exactly. And that's something that is really depressing about spirituality, because it's good to be spiritual with other people, you know? But once you start creating structure and order... And it's funny because I used to be one of those people that laughed at the spiritual but not religious crowd. I used to think they were just non-committal. Like, they just wanted the fun part of spirituality and not the responsibility, the discipline part of it. And that was an immature perspective that I once had, that I have since outgrown. While I cannot... I mean, honestly, the most spiritual movies aren't about spirituality. Like, The Matrix and The Truman Show immediately leap to mind. And I've talked about The Greatest Showman. The Greatest Showman is also very spiritual. The most spiritual stories, you know, it's all about... it's about your personal relationship with your own consciousness. What it means. What the fuck you're doing here. And consciousness and your personal relationship with your own consciousness is something that nobody else can experience. So you want to be around other people who also have a strong relationship with their own consciousness. You know, this actually reminds me of something else I wanted to make a video about eventually, which is truth gears. I'm like, I want to do that so bad. Truth gears is actually a great example of something that is deceptively spiritual. It's like, I do not need to use any spiritual language at all to talk about truth gears, but it does make you have a better relation. It's a tool that I invented to help people have a stronger relationship with their own consciousness and reality without letting yourself get bowled over, and to know where you end and the world begins. And I've wanted for a while, I think I've talked about this on stream before, to teach truth gears using nothing but Fallout examples, because it's the kind of thing that is easier taught using examples. And it will be so fun and so rewarding to do. But maybe I'll do that once I play a little bit more Fallout 4, because it would be cool for that Truth Gears video to have examples from across the franchise, to have stuff from New Vegas, the TV show, Fallout 4, and hopefully Fallout 3. I haven't seen the human part of organized religion is what makes it hard to buy into organized religion, but it is important, I think, to find something spiritual. It took me so long to even understand what that word means in my autistic brain, because it was so poorly explained to me, which is why I made the spirituality for skeptical autistics video. Like, I basically was thinking, okay, what is it that I get now that I didn't get before? And what would it have taken? How could somebody have explained it to me in a way that I would have understood? And I think that my life would have been a lot better if I had understood this stuff a lot earlier. If I'd understood a lot of stuff earlier. Like a lot of this stuff that I'm trying to figure out, the terms of service version of Lindsay, because I keep saying that like when I'm more gelled, that I will take that terms of service down most likely. I once I find my groove, until then, I like everything up until that point is just stuff I should have learned in my 20s. Not just in terms of content creation, but also just in terms of work. Like I was talking about that thing, my work thing, where I was working on a 6-episode series and, you know, got stacked a lot of work at the tail end because of mistakes that I made in the process. You know, these are the kind of mistakes that I could have made and learned from earlier if I had had a stronger spiritual foundation. But I was raised by somebody who had zero spiritual foundation, turned her nose up at spiritual foundation. And then other people who say that they care about having a spiritual foundation, but are just using it to manipulate and exploit people, like we're kind of talking about in the chat. And I'm glad that I am sitting well with things. And, you know, say what you want about, you know, weird spiritual beliefs, but I will tell you what, I used to be absolutely terrified about my own mortality. Like, that was like my only goal in life, was to stop being afraid of my own death, because I like had total terror. And as soon as I found my spiritual footing, my death anxiety completely went away. And no, I don't think I'm going to heaven. I think that the me that is sitting before you, this meat sock, will cease to be, will be not a thing that exists anymore. I'm good with it. And I don't have to believe in anything magic to be good with it. Turning into a pumpkin here, so I gotta go. Great talking with y'all. Good night. Good night, Fei June. Thank you for coming. So these little bears are up to no good around Boston. And when you see them, they are freeze framing until you leave. Oh yeah, I think I have stuff. I've seen stuff about the bears being kids too. So should I like do a search of bear synth conspiracy theory? If you go by American Dad rules and you're happy with what you are now, you're probably already there. I'm happy with everything except for my capacity. I just feel constantly overloaded and carrying more weight than I can carry by myself, and then also struggling to... That's why the Atlas Omnicorp stuff is so important to me, because I'm not carrying that by myself. Well, they can remake gorillas and birds, why not other animals? Yeah, why not? I haven't seen the teddy bear synth anyplace, but they never move. Oh, there's not a... I thought you said earlier that there was like a reference for that. Neurospicy battery capacity. Yeah, it sucks. It's like constantly trying to figure out, okay, what can I take on? But it just seems like the bare minimum of just what I need to do to pay my bills and to do my dishes and to, you know, and then I squeeze this YouTube channel in the middle of that somehow. Okay, I'm going to take one more little break, and then when I come back, we'll do trivia, and then we'll close this out. We'll close this party out. I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Now, this is something that I have been sort of craving something, I don't know what, out of these streams. And I have not been hydrating enough tonight. And I'm still, and this sort of trivia questions idea is sort of a part of my experimentation with this. Like, I know, like I always talk about how I want you guys to ask me questions, and I love brainstorming ideas for videos and video. And I know in the long run, whatever it is, this thing I'm craving is going to be some sort of structured, creative brainstorming. Like if I just say, ask me questions or something, then it's like too open-ended. So I gotta figure out something that we can brainstorm to help apply to future videos and future topics where I'm sort of steering almost like a tabletop game master to get us to, exchanging ideas that are going to become videos. But I haven't figured that out yet. So, we're just going to play with this instead. And there's like only 7 people, but we still got enough people in chat to do this, right? Okay. So we have, oh man, maybe I shouldn't do this next time. Maybe I should do it earlier. No, don't think negatively, Lindsay. I'm so glad that iPhone buttons have like texture and shine to them now. Okay, so I have all of them, but I think 76 is like the only thing I don't have in my trivia. Maybe I should do icebreaker questions instead. 76 4 and some 3 in New Vegas, but watch late hubby play. Okay. Well, let's just do a trivia question and see what happens. Okay, this is a Fallout 4 question. And obviously, because this is trivia, it's gonna be spoilery. So, spoiler warning. Like nobody's here anymore. Everybody went to bed. Here's the Fallout 4 question. Who is Hancock's brother? That is the question. This is another good reason to have the I will accept the mayor as would be more impressive if you gave the full name, but that is the answer to the question. Mayor McDonough. Another thing, I have it's like a spinny wheel app, and so it only and this could actually help me narrow down what was a fair question, is it doesn't save the answers. So the only questions that are in here are questions that I know the answer to in my own brain. And I feel like, I'm not a lore thumper, and I have ADHD and I have trouble paying attention. So if I know things, then chances are they're not that hard of questions. Okay, this is another Fallout 4 question. What kind of gun is in the locked case in Vault 111, the vault that you wake up in at the beginning of the game? What kind of gun do you pass by in a locked case? Everyone who started the game 100 times has seen this gun. Cool, Killing Ink should be here. That's my wifey. Hello, wifey of Carbal Snarky. You're the wifey of one of my most loyal subjects. Cryolator is the correct answer. Good job. This is fun. The snowball gun. Okay. Oh my god, that rarely ever happens. It hit the same question the second time. There's a lot of questions on here, so that's surprising. Okay, this is kind of an OG Fallout question, but this question was answered in New Vegas. What is the name of the longest running NCR president? She was president for like 50 years. Tandy is the correct answer! Yeah. See, you guys are getting with it. Yeah, we're getting more viewers now, too. This is good stuff. Okay, let's keep going. So glad I have ultra low latency on. What is Strong? This is a Fallout 4 question. What is Strong the super mutant eager to find in the wasteland? The milk of human kindness is the correct answer. Yeah, this is fun. I love it. What do you guys think of the questions? Are they're like not so easy, they're like brainless, but they're like you feel cool when you know the answer? I was actually surprised when I did that same question with my guys, my friends. Neither of them knew the answer to that question. they just happened to do Fallout 4 playthroughs where they didn't really hang out with Strong. And I was really surprised because I was worried that was too easy a question. All right. This is so fun. I'm never going to go to bed. Okay. I referenced this. I don't know if I've actually referenced this in a video, but I feel like I bring this up a lot because it's a fun moment. This is a Fallout 4 question. Upon meeting Hancock in Good Neighbor, he does us a shocking favor. He does something nice for us that's really shocking. What is it that Hancock does? This is why I'm straight for Hancock, which I mentioned in this week's video. Questions are good in reinforcing the desire to fully play the games again, but don't know how to work them in. Good luck. We all find a way to get our Fallout in. Yes, he shanks Finn. That is the correct answer. He freaking stabs a guy for disrespecting us. You don't even know him. He fucking shanks a dude. I don't have footage of that. I would have put that in this week's video. I gotta record that. Maybe I'll do that tonight. How do I not have footage of that? I looked for it for that shot. I mean, luckily that clip of Hancock being like, you only live once, why not try it all? That was perfect for, but I really wanted the stabbing a guy. Okay. Another Fallout 4 question. Maybe I have more Fallout 4 questions in here than anything else. What is the name of Nick Valentine's pre-war mobster nemesis? The nemesis of the real Nick Valentine, whose memories our synth Nick Valentine has. This is taking you guys a minute. Eddie Winter is the correct answer. Good job. If people didn't say it, quickly, I was gonna be like, you find his tapes, 1,000,000 holotapes that have his name on it that reinforces the guy's name. The Eddie Winter holotapes. Okay, this is a New Vegas question. And I put this here because this character just has a funny name, and that makes it memorable. What is the name of the Brahmin Baron who is looking for his son at the Ultralux? It's a great, rich, southern hick name. Heck Gunderson is the correct answer. Is anybody keeping score? Because I sure am not. I feel like James Baird keeps really being on it. Another rerun. On one hand, this is a Fallout 2 question, but it's also like basic Fallout 2 knowledge that I bet if you're just around this fandom that you would probably know it. What was the Chosen One, the main character, the player character of Fallout 2, sent out to find? What was the Chosen One looking for? Your phone keyboard at the ready? Are you searching, seeing how fast you can search stuff? The Gek. The Gek is the correct answer. Water chip is Fallout 1. The Gek, which uses cold fusion. I feel like reading more concurrent views. This might be a hit. Maybe in the future I'll be able to just kind of look up stuff, and because I think I'm good at picking questions. I feel like I know what kind of thing I'm looking for. Ooh, this one, if you are a fan of my content and you've watched my Benny and House video on my Dinztopia channel, hopefully you will know this. This is a Fallout New Vegas question. What was Benny's gang called before they were rebranded as the chairman? Bonus points if you can say why they were called that, because that is also explained. Boot Riders is the correct answer. Good job, Carbal Snarky. Does anybody know why they were called that? Yep, because they did everything on foot. And Mr. House described it as the unfortunate appellation of the boot riders. In the Benny Now's video, I said something like he was boot riding across the Mojave in the world's most conspicuous jacket, while House hid and sent out robots. This is another New Vegas question. What is the name of the friendly pet mole rat that you meet? When I was doing a Fallout 4 Vault 81 stuff today, you kill a lot of mole rats, and I just wanted to call them all by this name. Snuffles is the correct answer. Good job, Carl Snarky. Yeah. But there's one thing that's nice about chat is it's easy to see who said things first. Snuffles, which is an adorable name. Ooh, another Fallout New Vegas question. This is funny because these are all shuffled together. That's interesting that we did a bunch of Fallout 4s and now there's a bunch of New Vegas questions. What is the name of the weapon hidden at Helios 1? I can always hear Arcade Ganon's voice in my head. You activated blank. Archimedes is the correct answer. Ooh-ah to the Watcher. Good job. Archimedes is the correct answer. Is Seafinder also accurate? It might have a different name, but Archimedes is the one that I was looking for. Ooh, this is from I talk about in a recent video. I've mentioned it in a couple of Lindsay's Fallout TV show videos. What company was founded by House's family? What was the family business? Welcome to the family business. Oh, the Seafinder is the targeting pistol to use. Yeah, it sounded familiar, so that might be like I'd let that answer pass. But this question is, what company was founded by House's family? Not Robco. Robco is the company that he founded himself. He was denied his inheritance, and his H&H is the correct answer. Well, see, Seafinder was more found in Freeside than Helios 1. That's a good point. Another New Vegas question. What is the name of the dog of Sunny Smiles? Oh man, look at these ADHD wiggles. I think that means I'm happy. It also means this is another reason why it's good that I switched chairs. Cheyenne is the correct answer. Good job, Marklim7658. Yeah. This is fun. I'm gonna have to come up with more questions. This is such... Okay, normally I'm really bad at consumables and I know lore stuff, but because I happen to know this, I added it to the list. Because this is like the only time I ever pay attention. What flavor of Mentats increases barter skill? Grape is the correct answer! Nuka grape is better than Sunset Sarsaparilla, right? It is grape. Man, y'all are on top of it with your consumables. Way better than me. I didn't pay attention to any consumables until I was a ghoul and had to be a chem addict. The contrarian orange. It is not orange. I don't remember what orange is. Do more drugs. No, this is one, like, I'm really not good at judging. I don't know whether or not these questions are hard or easy. This is another, I guess mostly New Vegas, but maybe Fallout 3 as well. Maybe just New Vegas. What consumable item is addictive for Nightkin? Stealth Boy! Stealth Boy is the correct answer. Good job, Carble Snarky. And now I'm like, how many more of these do I want to do? I want to do a couple of the icebreaker questions too. So I'm going to do, after this one more, and then we'll switch to icebreakers. Okay. So this is another just a moment I love. This is like a cutscene moment that you see. The only time I know you see it for sure in New Vegas is if you take the monorail into the Strip. If you take the monorail into the Strip, and then as soon as you walk down the stairs and you're right in front of the Ultralux, you see this cutscene conversation happening where the NCR Army girls are dancing in their underwear in the Ultralux fountain. And there's Securitrons that are circling while these girls are in the fountain. And while they are loitering around the fountain, a Securitron says to them the following line: "The fountain is for blank." What does the Securitron say? Like, the fountain is for what? This line cracks me up so much that I'm surprised I haven't referenced it more. I had to have cut to it before. It was, the reason I know exactly how to trigger this cutscene is because I had to stage it because I wanted to record it. Man, I'm gonna be so impressed if anybody knows this. I'm actually kind of glad that you guys don't know it. Because, yeah, I think I have adjusted, it's like one of the first things I've uploaded to the channel, right? It's just this clip on this channel. So, if anybody wants to go find it, Easter egg hunt. Do you want me to tell you, or do you want someone to wait till somebody goes finds the clip? It's up to you guys. It's one of the funniest things. It cracks me up so much. No, I'm actually kind of glad people don't know it because it makes it for, it makes it, I don't know, more of a, feel like more of a sneaky find. It feels like more of like an Easter egg. Okay, the answer is the fountain is for wishes. The fountain is for wishes, ladies. And the reason why it's so funny is, okay, I mean, it's funny just without even thinking about it. But if you want to think about it and make it funnier. So the Securitrons work for House, right? House is capitalism incarnate. He's basically just farming people for capital, for progress, right? So fountains, you throw coins into and make wishes. That's a thing that people do traditionally. It's a tradition, people throwing coins into fountains and making wishes. So obviously in the Fallout universe, it wouldn't be coins, it would be caps. And the idea that the Securitrons would want to redirect them toward doing the activity that would put money in the fountain is really funny. Like, you know, if you're not doing things that are making Mr. House money, then you are wasting time here. The fountain is for wishes. The fountain is for caps. And that amuses me greatly. Okay, so one more question, and then we'll move on to icebreakers. I want to see how the icebreakers do. The icebreakers might actually be a good kickoff for video topics. We will see. Okay. I don't know if we've never done trivia before, but for some reason I'm looking at this question and I'm getting really strong deja vu that I've asked y'all this question before. But we haven't done this before. Let me know if this question's ever come up. For some reason it seems really like we've talked about this. This is a Fallout New Vegas question, and it is as follows. What was Joshua Graham's most useful skill before joining the Legion? So before Honest Hearts, before becoming the Burned Man, before the Legion, what skill was he really good at that set him on that journey in life? I do not believe that caps would. They are pieces of metal. They have no air inside of them. Plastic would, but not metal. But I'm not good at physical stuff, so maybe I'm wrong about that. Interpreting. I guess that's technically accurate. But I feel like translation, language translation. Because like, interpreter, like, I guess, is, you know, he was an interpreter for people who spoke different languages. So yeah, I feel like that's... They may have actually used the word interpreter in the game. I feel like I'm looking for translation, but I feel like that's still the right answer. So, Lord Nuke, you get the point. That was the skill that Edward Sallow exploited, basically. And I think that's so interesting, because he had this, like, reputation for being, like, so brutal, but it was this very intellectual skill. Because in the Wasteland, there's no official rules and language anymore. He was a Mormon that was good at languages. Okay. So, even though I could totally do this all night, let's switch back to... Not switch, because I guess we haven't done this yet, but icebreakers. So the idea behind the icebreakers question is, like, open-ended, kind of brainstorming, like, what's your favorite kind of stuff. And I tried to think outside of the box with these, but we will see how I do. And hopefully it'll be easy enough to have a small chat size answer to these. Okay, what is the most interesting vault? What vault do you find the most interesting? So you can give, like, the number and what game it's from and what was interesting about it. Maybe at Fallout Fan Celebration, their pickup lines. I actually had an idea that I was brainstorming that, like, there should be, like, a Fallout singled out or some sort of singles mixer so that people could meet potential partners there, because if you have a special interest in something that specific, then it's kind of a target-rich environment, and maybe if there was, like, a reserved space, a managed space for that, then there'd be less girls being afraid to walk around and get hit on. The Gary Vault? That's a good answer. Depends on the shape of the cap, but either way, you would have to carefully place the cap. Where's the icebreaker question? Most interesting vault? I find the vault where you have to solve a murder mystery in Far Harbor interesting, but I don't remember the number. Ooh, it sounds like a place I want to get footage at. Oh yeah, I think I didn't know that that vault was in there. Yeah, actually it was a friend of mine who just recently brought that particular vault to my attention. Far Harbor Vault. Because especially now after I just recorded all that footage from Vault 81, I want to get more Vault footage. Because especially, like, talking about the TV show, well, like when I'm talking about the TV show and I'm talking about Vault and Vault culture, I've for a while really wished that I had more Vault footage, you know? Like, I've got Vault 21 footage because of that house video, and I was like, because normally vaults aren't that interesting. I should get, the Skyline Valley vault's pretty interesting. I think that my favorite vault, my answer to this question would be Vault 11. Vault 11 in New Vegas, the vault where they killed the elected overseers, so all the propaganda posters were like, don't vote for me because whoever becomes overseer gets killed. I love that vault. I saw a lot of the communist brainwashing vault in the TV show really gave that same feeling. I thought they did a really good job of the way Vault 11 feels. Based on recency bias, since I can't remember all the vaults I visited over the years, Vault 34 in New Vegas. Another interesting vault is 76, south of where the Settlers were based. There's a vault where they were running tons of different experiments. I think it's 86 for me, the one from Fallout 3 with the Gek and the super mutants, just because I have the most questions about it. This is a good question. Took a second, but you guys all got answers. One of the main experiences they were looking into looks familiar, like another Bethesda game, Prey, known as The Entity. Man, I want to check that out. I don't know if I've seen it. It's a Vault in 76. I haven't. There's so much. That's why I'm not like worried about. Wait, I don't seem to be in focus. This is why I'm not worried about like the franchise, getting destroyed and stuff, because there's so much stuff I haven't even seen yet in this franchise. It's about midnight here, so the wifey and I are going to take off. Good night. Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure. Okay, this is a fun question. We'll do like 2 more of these and then I guess we'll quit. What faction in Fallout do you feel the least guilty about killing? Like when you see these guys, you're like, fuck these guys. No moral qualms whatsoever. Vault 51 from 76 is a good contrast to 11. That's the one where the computer made the Vault Dwellers fight to be Overseer. Ooh. Blood Eagles! I love that you said Blood Eagles, considering, like, I literally, like, made a joke about, wow, this place makes me feel guilty about killing Blood Eagles, and fuck those guys. Legion, yeah. I actually feel less guilty about killing Legion than Blood Eagles, for sure. Children of Adam. And this is what I was talking about earlier, like, why I want to see a cult that is, like, weirdly convincing. Because, like, Mothmen and Children of Adam are so squishy, like, I just did some stuff in 76 where I had to kill Mothmen, and I'm like, oh my god, they're so weak. They're so pathetic. They're just like, yeah. Something about Legion is probably the one I feel the least bad about killing, and which is why I really liked what the TV show did with the storyline about how Lucy ended up in their charge, because, like, they're so brainwashed by such evil ideas. It's just, I wonder if they made the decision to cover Legion in, like, football, armor. I wonder if that had anything to do with game developers and the kind of people who play a game like New Vegas being bullied by football players in school. Like, I wonder, because there's something about that sort of suggests this douchebag, douche bro, culture. I wonder if that was thought about. I wasn't bullied in school. At least, I was bullied in a girl way, not in a boy way, so I don't know. Imagine if they made a church vault. They had to. That seems like something that should exist. A super religious vault. I really wish that they showed him based in the football stadium like they did in the end. Oh yeah. A football stadium coliseum thing. Yeah. They should do that. On the show, maybe. Because we're so not done with the Legion on the show. Okay. Ooh, man, these are fun questions. I don't even remember writing this. Pick 2 characters who never met in any of the games, but would despise each other if they did. Like, characters that you would love to see forced to work together and bickering the whole time. I think that this was kind of inspired how in my fan fiction I had Benny interact with a lot of characters that... Benny in Arcade in my story is kind of a hoot. Sports gear armor is big time Mad Max reference too, yeah. But I'm, like, intrigued by the reflection of a lot of common trauma. In 76, there's a pacifist vault that led to why the Major looks that way if you want something that looks religious. The Major. I don't know what that is. I can't believe how much of 76 I still haven't done. Okay, apparently I need to, like, get on a map and look at all the vaults in 76, because I didn't even know that there were that many vaults in 76. Or maybe I also, like, habitually, like, steer away from vaults because I expect to kind of see the same thing over and over again, but that's not necessarily true. Like, I was just in Vault 81, which for the most part just looks like a vault, But I was talking about earlier, like how there's things in that it looks like the TV show is like remixing that stuff in the game, like you're looking for your dad in Fallout 3, and then we're looking for Hank on the show, and like how there's like these sort of remixes of stories that were already in the game. And replaying Vault 81 today really got me thinking about how much this reminds me of the connection between Vault 31 and 32. Like Norm leaving Vault 31 and going through an open gate and going into like a destroyed that secret vault vibes that is connected. That is very much the vibe in 81 when you go into the secret vault where you find Curie, you know? And I was like, I feel like they thought they wanted this kind of a thing. There's even like a strained sibling relationship in there. So let's see what your answers for Arcade Gannon and X2, father from Fallout 4, and your dad from Fallout 3. That's interesting. Kate and anyone else anywhere. That's funny. Maxon and Veronica. That would be heated. I thought of a better one. Piper from Fallout 4 and Mr. House. That would be an interesting conversation. Kate wins every time. Kate is so spiky and distrustful. Who's like Kate and Lucy? Kate and Lucy. That would be a conversation. There's opposites right there. That's a fun question. Okay. I don't like this question as much as the last one. I want to find one that I like as much to end this off on. Man, I really like that question. Dance Dance Revolution. Is that a video that exists? Because it should. Father Elijah and Preston Garvey. That is interesting. Now I'm like spinning until I find a question I like as much. None of these are bad, but I'm trying to pick a good last one. Maybe I should have ended off on that pairing question. I really like that question. Scientist in the Big Empty that hated Mr. House? Was it like Dr. Klein? Was it somebody in the think tank? Ooh, okay. This is an amusing question, probably a good ending question. And the way the question is designed is it something that you should be able to pull to your brain quickly and not require like too much. So maybe that's why it's a good ender. Okay. What is the most... There's one from New Vegas that I feel like everybody's going to say. Try not to say that one because we all know what it is. Most repetitive NPC dialogue you couldn't help but memorize. You just heard it too many times. I love Arcade Gannon. Love him. He's one of my favorite characters in New Vegas. That's why I love Arcade Gannon so much that I made my character a gay man in love with Arcade Gannon instead of a gay woman that was in love with Veronica. That's how much I love Arcade Gannon. Another settlement needs your help. That's a fair answer, yeah. Any other ones that leap to mind? Sometimes these ones for me, weirdly, other people don't know. Like to me, I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I've heard it so many times. This was kind of like I was surprised when my friends didn't know that Strong was looking for the milk of human kindness. I was really surprised that I was surprised that people didn't know Preston Garvey saying, at least it's not raining. At least it's not raining. At least it's not raining. When it rained at Fallout Fan Celebration the next day when the sun came out in the morning, I was just dying to see a Preston Garvey cosplayer walking around going, at least it's not raining. Howdy, partner! And another one like that I thought was like everywhere is if you have Eddie in Fallout New Vegas, if you have Eddie attached to you and you're walking around, people will go, I've never seen a robot like that before. I've never seen a robot like that before. I've never seen a robot like that before. Which I'm like, what do you mean? It's like New Vegas isn't Enclave bot. You've seen them. There are other ones around. Aren't there? I was so excited to see iBots on the TV show in the Enclave headquarters. But whenever I saw an Eddie cosplayer, I would walk up behind them and go, I've never seen a robot like that before. Except one time I did it to the same cosplayer twice. And then when I saw it was the same person again, I'm like, oh, that's so embarrassing. It's not funny if I say it again. And she was like, oh, but it was really funny the first time. She may have been lying, but it amused me. We win, you die. Boston Super Mutants. Yeah, that is a common one. I was an adventurer like you until I took an... I was an adventurer like you until took an arrow to the knee. Dead don't need things. We take. If you have Strong as a companion and you're collecting stuff. You humans created us. Now suffer for your insolence. Ah! I'm glad they actually say that in game. I never noticed them. I don't know the Super Mutant dialogue that much from Fallout 4. I don't know why. I guess I haven't played enough combat against Super Mutants recently. I mean, in 76, all the time. All the fucking time. Gotta go to West Tech, get that toxic goo! And also, there's always, like, a daily that's like, take a picture of a super mutant. And how picky. You have to get so close. I'm like, do I have to use a stealth boy to get close enough to a super mutant so I can just snap the picture and run away? But no. Okay, I said that was the last question, and I need to honor my word. So I'm like gonna try my darndest to have a video out this week. But if you don't see one, I'll put a post explaining. It just means I needed to focus on that work project. I'm leaning toward it's going to be Fallout 4 related because I'm cracking that open and recording stuff. It might just be my next playing of Far Harbor. That might actually be killing a lot of birds in one stone. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you look in my channel, there's a playlist called Planting Saves. And that's what I call my, like, playthrough videos, because what I'm actually doing is playing to plant saves so that I can pull clips up to record videos and, you know, and continue my save collection. And so I started Far Harbor, like, a year ago, knowing that I wanted to talk about, you know, synth stuff in videos. And so I was like, hey, I'll just make content out of that. So that might actually be the smart move, because I just have to, like, kind of sit and play the game for a little while, and then it's a really fast edit, and then I have my weekly content out, and I'm also planting saves for future... It's the most strategic move, probably. Unless I, like, explode, and I'm like, if I don't do a location video and scratch that creative itch, I'm gonna die. So it'll either be, like, a Fallout 4 location video, or it will be... Just depends on... Or it'll be another Far Harbor thing. Yes, this was really fun, and I'll also be making notes for trivia questions, because that was a success. That was really, really fun. All right, and on that note, stay cool, ferals, and I'll see you next time.